Of hosting The Tonight Show with a farewell episode that included special guest Saddam Hussein, KKK Grand Wizard Virgil Lee Griffin, and a musical performance by the Flag. On May 24th, 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge opened, providing New Yorkers with a more efficient way of killing themselves and escaping their trash-ridden excrement-cake city. The monument's historic opening was marked by hundreds of people jumping 275 feet to their deaths in order to avoid waking up every morning with the smell of horse filling their nostrils.
Before the Brooklyn Bridge, there were very few ways for New Yorkers to free themselves from the cesspool in which they lived. One method was to tie cinder blocks on their legs and walk into the Hudson River. But of course, the banks of the Hudson were so brimming with garbage and raw sewage that the putrid stench would drive back even the most desperate suicide seeker.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. I guess I was just turned down really low. It didn't sound like I was coming through. Oh my God. And we have been having issues with the board, so I apologize to the listeners for that. It's Free Talk Live, and that means it's talk radio that you can control. 603-283-6160 is the phone number for you to call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Lori.
And it looks like we already have a call, so I'm just going to go straight into the calls. Dave Ridley in New Hampshire, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, have you guys been following at all this school scandal in Exeter, New Hampshire?
No. What?
Yeah, no,
like
I don't know about that.
A high school or?
It's I don't know what age the student was, but there was a student who, according to nhcornerstone.org, which is the website for Cornerstone Action, an evangelical or conservative Christian group, a Catholic student was suspended from his athletics and because of texts that he sent while he was not on campus.
Oh wow! So, does it have something to do with like Catholicism since it's a private school? Did they agree?
Apparently, somebody was debating with him over his phone about transgender issues,
Mm-hmm.
and in the process of the debate, he's accused of using the word bozo.
Wow!
And that's what he got in trouble for.
Whoa! Well,
that's again. This is according to Cornerstone. I could not find any information on the internet that would indicate another side to this story.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look that long. Maybe I missed something. If somebody knows more, or maybe I'm missing something. Call in and let us know. But that's what Cornerstone is claiming.
That's pretty funny, but I do gotta ask. Was there anything about maybe the guy when he decided to go to this private school, or when his parents decided to send him to this private school, did he agree to not do things like call other students bozo, even off campus?
No, this is a case against the SAU, the school administrative unit. This is the government school, so you're paying for whatever they did to this guy.
I didn't know that government schools had Catholic schools.
Well, he was a Catholic at the school.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
So what is the reasoning? What is the reasoning for bozo even being something disciplinary worthy?
Is that woke now or something? Is there like
you're disparaging clowns?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The woke reason you can't use the word bozo anymore.
Who knows? But anyway, they went to court, and they had their first day in court, I guess, around November 30th. and they published an article on it, but they didn't really say much about what happened in court. Maybe it was just preliminary.
Wow. So yes, I found on here, it says Reddit people are claiming, in the question somebody wrote, is bozo a slur? And it says, it seems likely that bozo originated from this immigrant name, I'm not sure which one, and stereotypes surrounding Eastern Europeans. So I guess
I don't
bozo,
think so.
I don't. I think of it as a clown thing
Yeah,
too.
the clown, Bozo the clown. Like, I've never heard the word bozo and thought anything but a clown.
That's pretty funny. If they're going to say, well, it's racist against Slavs, that's going to be hilarious.
There are a lot of things, like people have said don't use the word spooky at Halloween anymore because now it's racist.
But it
doesn't have
anything
anything
to
do with no one thinks of it like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
just because another word happens, I don't know. That's absolutely stupid. I've never heard anybody say that, but that's I think it's hilarious that I just wondered that and immediately find a Reddit, post where people are saying that it is a slur because everything is literally a slur.
Everything.
Well, anything else, Dave Ridley?
That is all. I guess if you want to know more, I think the website is nhcornerstone.org.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dave, for the call. And you guys can check out more from Dave Ridley at ridleyreport.com. He's been posting, I've noticed, a lot more videos recently where he goes up and ambush interviews politicians, especially local in New Hampshire. Is really interesting. So thank you for the call, Dave. And let's get into our first story tonight, Lori. I have this story from this website. I've actually never heard of it before, called thedieline.com. And it says France banned single-use packaging for here fast food orders. Can the U.S. do the same thing? And apparently other European countries are considering doing that. And it's like sending McDonald's and fast food places through a loop because they're being forced to do things a completely different way than their model.
Yeah, so they can't use the paper for your hamburger and stuff like that and the fries.
Yeah, which at least is not to go. That would be crazy.
You would think that would save them money. So for, to here orders, it would save them money because they don't have to buy all that packaging.
That's true, but maybe it's worth it to them to not have the washing machines and paying a washing machine person. But I don't know. It says single-use packaging has become a part of the fast food dining experience, even when dining in. Everything from burgers, fries, soda, and other items comes wrapped or packaged in materials that spend only a few minutes protecting or keeping food fresh. They're designed primarily for takeout, but they also get utilized when serving food in-house. And one thing about it is, I think that it's going to change, even the taste. When I think of eating McDonald's, I haven't for 3+ years, but I think it would be gross on a plate.
It's gross anyway, but...
Yeah. I just think it sounds like it's not going to scratch the itch people go to McDonald's for.
And you're going to get weird plastic plates that kind of, hold all the greasy smell and stuff.
Ew, yeah, you're probably right. Like a jail...
They're not going to give you... Yeah, like a jail tray.
Yeah, tray.
Yeah.
Probably.
Portioned trays. So I guess that means no more Happy Meals.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Are they going to have a glass, Happy Meal shape?
Here's your pillowcase of food, kid.
Oh, my gosh.
What would they even use?
It's just, I think of a little package of fries. For some reason, the idea of pouring that out onto a plate and then eating it there is so much less appetizing than eating it from the thing. That's not what you want. I don't know why.
It changes the whole smell, too, because when you get the fries, they smell like hot cardboard and grease.
It's something about the material that it's on, having the grease just sit there kind of warm.
Oh, yeah.
Is different.
And the cardboard kind of absorbs the grease, too, so their fries are going to be greasier.
Yeah,
because they just come out of the fryer and they dump them, so they're going to be covered with oil. Even
when I was a kid, my dad, we always had lots of siblings, so if we did eat McDonald's, we usually didn't, but if we did... My dad would just get a whole bunch of things, open a bag, and pour the French fries on this huge bag, and then sometimes we would have our own plates that we would grab and put it on. And I was always thinking it's not as good that way. I don't know why.
I don't know. Part of the experience.
Even just you can take the ketchup and pour it on your little plastic bag and eat it off there. For some reason, that's better than doing it off a plate. I don't know why. And you're right, it's just the experience. It's like what your brain is wanting because you see the commercials or something. I don't really know.
Yeah.
It says there's plenty of good reason for that. That being them using the disposable packaging. After all, we're talking about fast food. Quick service restaurant chains have developed their operations for rapid turnover. I've never heard that word for fast food. Maybe it's
I
not
assume
new.
it's like bussing the table and getting everything cleaned down so that you can have another person sit.
Yeah. Oh, just like quick service.
Yeah.
I guess that's not just fast food. It could be. You're right. Like Chipotle is not really fast food. I don't know. There's some that are not. And I know I said that wrong. Chipotle, whatever. I always mix up the L and the T.
Yeah.
But maybe quick service restaurants is not just fast food. But it says by packaging all meals the same way, regardless of where customers are enjoying their meals, staff can push out orders efficiently and rapidly in a streamlined manner. That does make sense.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little more time if you're like paying attention, is this to go or for here, and then choosing a different thing to put it on or wrap it in.
Yep.
The trade-off is using unnecessary packaging when guests dine in, some of which use plastic. France is looking to change that, and a new law passed in 2020 has taken effect at the start of this year. And I guess that makes sense. It gave them time to change over. That requires outlets with 20 or more seats to use durable, washable plates, cups, and cutlery for orders served for here. And when I hear durable, I don't think like a porcelain dinner plate.
Yeah, no.
So it's probably going to be like you're saying, like plastic, porous, disgusting.
Melamine.
Yeah. I don't even know what that is.
It's like those cheap plastic plates you can get that are like made to look like glass.
Oh, God.
You know, you see them at Walmart and stuff. They have the pretty designs on them, like what is her name? Pioneer Woman or whatever, with like the roses and stuff. Yeah, they make like melamine, so they're unbreakable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never bought any of their stuff, but I know exactly what you're talking about because that's that like country.
Yeah, I've never bought any.
Floral stuff.
Yeah.
And there's even a picture here. It says, oh, something popped up. It says, it's somebody's tweet. It says, absolutely loving the design of this reusable packaging that's being introduced at McDonald's in France. And you can see here, Lori, it is a plastic bowl. It kind of shapes like a French fry container already is shaped like. And also it looks like they have like potato wedges at McDonald's in France. I don't think that we have that here in the United States. It kind of reminds me of.
I mean, they might. I don't know.
I think that, here's a great thing it reminds me of. A great thing to compare it to. The trays that you get at Pizza Hut. You're still going to have like a paper thing there, but your pizza would be maybe on a cardboard thing on top of this red tray. It's just red plastic. That's all I'm describing.
I don't think fast food places even give you trays anymore. When I was a little kid, they used to give you the tray with all your stuff on it to carry it over, but now they just like hand you a bag.
I do think of like anyone where you're in a line, like Cafe Rio in Utah. I think you were telling me, Riley was telling me he's been there.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's kind of like Chipotle, and you have your tray and you go across and tell them what you want. So then they have the trays, but I think you're right. Like I don't think I've had a tray at McDonald's. Well, like I said, I haven't been there in 3 years or more. And even then, it's like during 2020. I would only be able to go into the drive-thru most places.
Right.
So it's been like 4 years since I've eaten inside of McDonald's, and that was probably in like Utah also.
Yeah.
So moving on, it says, oh wait, I don't think I finished this part. It says, France is looking to change that, the fact that restaurants use plastic and just throw away unnecessary packaging. And a new law passed in 2020 has taken effect at the start of this year that requires outlets with 20 or more seats to use durable, washable plates, cups, and cutlery for orders served for here. It is part of sweeping reforms that also include packaging changes for groceries and produce. Oh, so like the grapes and stuff.
Yeah, so no more bags for produce. So you just carry all your loose stuff in the cart.
And that's kind of gross.
It's really gross.
I like to have all produce in a bag, even if it's like a potato and you're going to wash it anyway. Just like to have it in a bag.
You know, people like sneeze on their carts. They put their dog in there. Their kids pee on it or whatever.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't want to put my food directly on that surface.
The thing that grosses me out even more than the cart, but that is also gross, is the thing you put things on and it slides it to the cashier. Like that's always really gross.
Because like chicken juice
Yes.
on it and stuff and leaked milk.
And they'll like wipe it with a dry towel and that's it, you know?
I think I used to be a cashier when I was like 15 and they have like, we used to spray it with like alcohol based
Well, that makes sense.
cleaner, but you don't do it that often.
Yeah, right.
Like when it's visibly gross.
Yeah, when it's like an actual puddle.
Yeah.
It says the change affects approximately 30,000 locations, generating roughly 180,000 tons of waste annually. It
That's
says
a lot.
that is a lot, and I mean, it could be a good thing. It might also be sort of a bad thing. Like, is it a bad thing to take, to make it to where the people doing trash have less stuff to do? I don't know, but also it's like, I guess that they might be running out of places to put trash. I have never tried to look into and wrap my head around the whole argument that, oh, we're running out of places to put trash, the landfills are full and all that stuff. I've just never tried to look into it, but Ian, if he was here, he'd be saying like, it's fine, we'll never run out of places to put trash. Like, he just says that, but I don't know what's true.
I mean, a long time ago, they didn't have plastic and they just used paper and, wood products.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why can't just do that. It's
Yeah.
biodegradable.
That is a good point. Because then it would be like, okay, it's in the landfills and then goes away after time.
Yeah. Or you just recycle it.
It seems like the things that you get, like a McDonald's burger wrapped in, it seems like they're kind of paper, kind of plastic
Yeah, that stuff.
mixed together.
Yeah.
It says the new law in the European country will put brands to the test, having to adapt and change decades of how quick service restaurants serve customers and why they had 3 years to prepare for the rollout. The fast food eating public in France will also have to adjust to how some of their favorites will get served. From all appearances, your Big Mac or Le Big Mac still come in a paper wrapper, but your fries will now get dumped into a little red bucket that looks much like the original fry container. Happy Meals, meanwhile, gets a pretty adorable red box with the old golden arches and McNuggets in a white bowl. I don't know why. I don't want to eat McNuggets out of a bowl. Not that I want to eat.
So it's in a little red
McNuggets.
box and then you bring the box back to them to wash?
I think so, yeah. And that sounds
weird.
kind of annoying
That's weird.
for everyone involved.
Yeah. I think kids would probably complain.
And there's a bowl
About that?
inside a box.
Yeah.
It's probably just rolling all around in there. It's not wrapped up in its plastic.
And you got to trust that they're cleaning all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, and I already think about that in places like, I don't know why Pizza Hut is really coming to mind because there's not even one in Keene, I don't think, but I haven't been there in forever. But I've always thought of like those reusable cups. It's in like almost every pizza place. They have reusable plastic cups that kind of look like they're supposed to look like glass, or they're like the green see-through ones. I always get a little grossed out by that because I mean it's going through a super, super hot washing machine, but there's no one sitting there like making sure there's nothing in it except me when I'm about to drink out of it.
Silverware is
Yeah.
the one that weirds me out. Somebody else put that in their mouth, some
Yeah.
stranger that I don't know, and now I'm going to put it in my mouth.
That is so true. I so prefer plastic silverware to like
But it's-
reused silverware. It's
Yeah,
gross.
right.
And
Or
it's
chopsticks.
it's the same thing. It's not getting scrubbed. It's going through something like so hot, like I don't know, 500 degrees or something.
Yeah, they don't scrub that stuff. I was a dishwasher before, too.
Me too. I've been a dishwasher. Well, I wasn't just a dishwasher, but I did wash dishes.
Yeah, prep cook. All that. You
Yep.
kind of do everything back there.
I made pizzas and then I'd wash dishes
Yeah,
and prep
and salads.
and stuff like
right.
that. And that was like the worst job of my life. And
Yeah.
now the trolls are gonna be
Oh, I liked
laughing at me if they heard that because I was just making fun of one of the trolls, our fans that love us so much in the chat because he said that he was like, I came from the bottom. I used to be a dishwasher. And they always like to act like I've never worked in my life. So sometimes I just roll with it. And I was making fun of him for being a dishwasher, but I accidentally just revealed that I have done it too. Anyways, it says, we already explained how the Happy Meals are going to look, but it says drinks will be served in reusable plastic cups, which I don't know worse for you because those plastic cups from McDonald's, there's like a weird film on the outside of them. It's kind of like maybe wax. It's like almost paper with
the paper
wax.
cups, yeah, they're like
Mhm.
waxed.
And that, I don't know if that's really bad, like getting in
I'm
your
sure
body.
it's probably terrible for you.
Yeah, it freaks me out though. I always think
It's got to
about
be
that
made
getting in.
cheap with cheap materials so
Yeah.
that you can just throw it away after. So it's probably, full of lead.
And if your
or something.
soda can like get rid of battery acid. It can probably work the wax away, and then you're drinking that too.
Mm-hmm.
So what's worse, that or a reusable plastic cup? I don't know. But it says these new regulations will serve as a significant case study for quick service restaurants operating in a large market with millions of consumers. But can the changes in France inspire reform and waste reduction in other countries like the US? Chains like McDonald's had already trialed new durable and reusable packaging in France. And here's a, oh my goodness, this is kind of silly. It's a Burger King one, but it looks like a little box that maybe a burger would come in. And it looks like a regular one, except apparently it's actually like thick plastic instead of paper. But it's made to look exactly like that. But that's kind of a good idea because, like I said, it's going to be, the people who want to eat at Burger King, they've been there a lot, and they're used to their box that their burger comes in. They're going to want it to at least look similar. But the annoying part there is a plastic cup, and it has that stupid Starbucks hole in the lid instead of a straw area.
I feel like it's all kind of short-sighted anyway. What's going to happen to all of these when they get chipped or broken? Now, instead of having a thin piece of plastic that's going to take however long to break down or be recycled or whatever, you have a big thick piece of plastic. Millions of them.
That's such a good point, because they're going to have to retire them pretty often. Kids running around in the playpen with their burger or Happy Meal
breaking
bowl.
Them, right? People are going to steal them for sure.
That's so
especially
true.
if they did it here in America. People would steal them. And take them home.
Maybe it's not as big of a deal in France. I don't know, but probably in the US probably.
For sure.
And I don't even know that about France. I'm just guessing. It says chains like McDonald's, they already trialed the new reusable things. And much of the world discovered recently when the burgers chain's unique tableware went viral online. So, see, like I thought that this was like happening right this second. I didn't realize it happened early 2023 because I hadn't seen any of this online. But apparently people have been taking pictures and being like, love the new reusable McDonald's stuff and putting it online. It is interesting.
Yeah.
The new tableware requires additional equipment such as dishwashers and sanitizers, and likely new staff to not only wash... they don't have dishwashers and sanitizer already, because don't they need it for some part in the line? Like
spatulas?
Yeah, spatulas. Things like that. That's a little weird. But it says, and likely new staff to not only wash those reusables, but educate guests that the utensils no longer go straight into the waste bin. Dang, you need to hire a new person for that, but there's
going to be tons thrown away.
Yeah, just thrown directly away. I mean, that already happens with trays.
Right.
They have all these signs, do not throw away the trays.
Right, the trays just go in the trash.
It says, of course, there's also the cost of purchasing new cups, containers, and cutlery. Plus, having 2 sets of packaging adds additional steps in service to QSR operations optimized for speed and efficiency, which is what I was talking about. Like, people are going to have to pay attention to the order, to the receipt, whatever, and make sure it doesn't say to go or to here, and then decide what to do from there. 603-283-6160. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow. The United Nations says thousands of Palestinians are trying to flee as Israel expands its ground offensive in central Gaza. The Palestinian president has described the situation as beyond a war of annihilation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says at least 195 people have been killed over the past 24 hours, and over 21,000 people have died over the past 11 weeks. On October 7th, Hamas launched an attack on Israel that killed around 1,200 people and took about 240 Israelis hostage. Emergency medical team coordinator at the World Health Organization, Sean Casey, says Gaza's functioning hospitals are a bloodbath.
Health capacity is at about 20% of what it was 80 or so days ago. So almost all of the hospital beds, almost all of the hospital services have stopped functioning, either because the facilities themselves have been affected, because the staff have been forced to flee, because they run out of power, or they run out of medical supplies.
The Israeli Defense Forces say it struck 200 Hamas targets in Gaza in the past 24 hours as it looks to expand its operation within the besieged enclave. It comes as American forces in the region report an uptick in attacks on the Red Sea from Iranian-backed militias based in Yemen. From Tel Aviv, Trent Murray reports.
The US Navy says warships and F-18 Super Hornets from the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group downed 17 kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles which have been fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen, a group which has been linked to Iran. It comes as diplomats here grow increasingly concerned about the arena of this conflict in Gaza continuing to expand. We've seen more rockets fired from Lebanon overnight, as well as an airstrike on the Syrian capital Damascus, targeting an Iranian commander. Tehran reacting with fury, saying Israel will pay a heavy price.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico in an effort to tackle a surge in illegal immigration as thousands of migrants trek through the country towards the United States. America's top diplomat is meeting President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the capital at a time when border crossings into the US are hitting record numbers, with often 10,000 people reaching the southern border per day. Benji Hire reports.
Antony Blinken and Homeland Security officials are asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here to approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security, but that remains stalled in Congress.
And the New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft on claims of copyright infringement. From bureaus worldwide, this.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live, it's talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number for you to call in. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. You can comment about what we're talking about or bring up something else. It doesn't matter because it's Free Talk Live. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Lori.
And we're just finishing up this article that's telling us about, apparently in France has banned single-use packaging for four-year fast food orders. And the website called dieline.com is wondering, can the U.S. do the same thing? I think it's absolutely an overreach. We hadn't really gotten into the government morality part of this. I think it's definitely an overreach of the government to tell a whole industry, oh, you can't do something that you've been choosing to do. Like, if they wanted to do it this way, they would have done it forever ago. And the government of France is telling them they can't now.
I think they're overlooking a simple option of just going with paper.
Yeah, that's true.
It sounds like some kind of plastic lobbying conspiracy. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. Like somebody has shares in some plastic company.
Oh, wow. I see the picture of the Happy Meal thing. It's right here. I don't know why. I just kind of overlooked it. It's kind of like a upside down bucket. It looks like it closes at the bottom. So it's probably like a little plate that basically has a covering.
Like
that
a
closes.
cloche, like a bread cloche.
I didn't know that word, but I know what you mean. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about this. People are posting it on their Twitters and saying absolutely loving the design for this reusable packaging that's being introduced at McDonald's in France because they want to sound cool, I guess. But it looks like we do have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go to you guys. Unscreened caller, what's on your mind?
Hi, it's Tim. I'm calling from behind enemy lines in the EU, the SSR.
In Berlin still?
No, that's Frankfurt. Frankfurt, yes, that's where I'm calling from.
Oh, yeah, sorry about
that.
What's on your mind?
Well, I got to experience a couple of fast food restaurants in the EU. I mean, in Spain, I remember they actually serve beer in the Burger King, like cervezas. Yeah, so
nice.
There's some good things here, but my local McDonald's they took away the straws completely. You guys talk about plastic straws in America. They don't even serve straws anymore at my McDonald's. It's a real shame. I'm not sure about this, but they used to serve these paper straws, right? Well, now they've found out about this cancer-causing chemical. It's something like
from paper straws.
Yeah, sure. They're coated with like an inner lining because you can't put paper to water and expect it to dissolve.
They do still melt, but
probably like some form of Teflon or something in there.
That's right. Yeah, it's Teflon.
Yeah.
And they took away the straws completely. Now, I'm not sure. This is not industry-wide, but, it's not good here.
Do you have those cups that have a lid, and the lid has a little hole in it like Starbucks, if you know what I mean?
I'm not sure. Well, we have the plastic lids still, but the straws...
like the kind that you can sip from?
Oh.
Like a coffee cup cover?
Oh, I'm sure they get inventive, but no, I've never been served one. Soda, and it would be kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it's not that bad for when you're drinking coffee from Starbucks. Like, I've gotten used to it at this point. But I don't like, what am I trying to say? I don't like the idea of drinking soda with a sippy cup.
I think the carbonation
would hurt, yeah. I think it would hurt the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
So would you say that things have gone downhill for fast food in Europe, or it doesn't faze them?
Yeah, I think you can say so. I mean, when I went to America, one thing I noticed is that the customer service across the board in all industries, I was really surprised. I actually got to meet some people who worked at Walmart with the hats and the name tags and said hello. We don't have that here. It's a mesh from labor... minimum wages and these federal aid schemes, and so people don't get incentivized to work. We just don't have these kind of jobs, and it's we have too few people in these industries, so it's always few. And
so the people that stand at the front, the people that stand at the front of the store and say hello when you walk in, they don't have that in Europe because you're not paying people enough.
It's a pointless job anyway.
It is.
Say elders don't work there because it would predict their schemes. I'm pretty sure they can. It's something like this because of. Anyways, I'm not quite sure why we have this level of customer service which is infinitely worse than the experiences I had in America, but. Anyways, so that's another thing in the fast food industry I noticed. But, the reason I called in saying I'm from behind enemy lines, it kind of feels that way. Many people here, they look up to America, and we believe that we are a bit ahead of the curve, if you know what I mean, when it comes to government regulation and meddling into all these industries, to the detriment of the customer service, which we pay for.
And just like, doing things efficiently and making it very cheap for the customer. Well, I've always gotten that vibe, I'm not going to lie, I've known lots of Germans in my life. I don't know if it's from being at military bases because my dad was in the army, but I've always got this vibe that Europeans believe that, we're just so much more, progressed than Americans because, well, the government tells us that this is better, that kind of a thing. It's not like straight up like hate or something, but it's just been a vibe that people from more progressive countries think that way of America.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's a shame, but people, there are many people who think that way. And it's not always justified, I mean, one thing I've learned from listening to the show is that there's different parts of America and they do different kinds of stuff. I hope you guys in New Hampshire get to, take advantage of the federal system you still have, because my federal republic sure doesn't. And so whatever the EU says goes. And I think they're even banning the Teflon stuff in a couple of years. So, well, we'll see.
They ban a lot of stuff there. And some of the stuff they ban in Europe is actually bad for you. So it makes people believe, I think, that, our countries are looking out for us whenever they ban things that are not good for you.
Sometimes. They go too far a lot. Like
exactly.
the California Prop 65 warnings on everything. I was ordering salt the other day, and there was a California Prop 65 warning on it. And you know what the ingredient is that causes cancer, apparently?
Salt?
Salt.
Wow.
There's nothing else in it. It's just salt.
Well, you also experienced the difference in different states firsthand when you were here. Didn't you go to Texas after here?
Oh, yeah, you remember. That's true. I went to Texas, and one thing I saw was the plastic triangles of death in the Walmart at the cashier when you get your stuff bagged. You know what? Maybe you don't have that there, but you see, when I was there, they actually had the triangle thing with all the bags on there, and the grocery, they would bag all the groceries into these tiny things. You'd get like 8 bags for your shopping.
That's such a good point.
Well,
I know what you mean about the triangle, because it kind of they'll bag a thing, set it on top of that triangle. And I agree that their bags suck so bad. They're the thinnest bags that they got to put like 2 items in a bag and then hand it to you. And I hate that about Walmart.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't have that here, and I'm kind of glad about it. If you talk about saving the environment, well, I don't like the triangles of death, as I like to call them. But, I mean, it's also not nice paying like 50 cents for a bag, which is also going to break in next time you're going to take it to the shop. So
yeah, well, there's a balance. But thank you so much for the call, Tim. We love hearing from you. And call back whenever you want. And good luck being behind enemy lines, as he says. He is really cool. There's so many people that have come from Germany, and then they come visit New Hampshire for the Free State Project because they're like, oh, there's no one I can talk to about this in basically my whole country almost. And all of the gun clubs are completely full. You can't get into them because so many people are like, wait, maybe I want to learn how to use a gun, and they don't have very good gun laws for like being able to just have one in your house.
Right.
And there's like waiting lists for every gun club, things like that, because some people are like, wait, actually maybe, And I've met at least 3 or 4 people that came from Germany to come here. It's probably not
specifically to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
For the Free State Project.
Nice.
Usually like after Pork Fest. I'm pretty sure that's why Tim was here. It's kind of hard to remember now. But he came to the show and watched them do the show. And he's a really nice guy. He gave us some German stickers that say stuff like free market in German. And I can't remember how you say it now.
I have no idea.
Yeah. It's like one of those words that look like you can look at it and know what it is immediately.
Okay. A lot of German words are like that.
Yeah, yeah. So you would know what it meant, but it's just a little different than ours. But anyways, we're finishing off this story here from thedieline.com. It's D-I-E, like die. I'm not sure what that means, but it says, solutions to big problems often require significant changes. While we've seen quick service restaurant chains like Starbucks, McDonald's, and Burger King experiment with reusable packaging in the United States, we've yet to see permanent rollouts. These pilots generate goodwill and positive press, but so far, I mean, not only because lots of people are like, oh my God, I hate the stupid sippy cup at Starbucks. Mm-hmm. Lots of people are like, oh my God, get rid of these stupid paper straws. I'm not sure if they're counting that, but, well, it's not reusable, but so they're not. But a lot of people hate all this stuff that they do in the name of, oh, it's good for the environment. That, as you're saying, probably isn't even necessarily better for the environment every time.
Right.
But so they're saying it generates goodwill and positive press. But so far...
It's all just PR to appear woke.
That's true. Like something
Wokeness.
Appearing in the mainstream media doesn't really mean anything to me anymore. It's all an advertisement, basically.
Right. Everything's an advertisement. Have you ever seen They Live?
No, I actually haven't. I saw the fight scene because Matt, who's been on the show, he wanted me to see the fight scene. That's like a 10-minute long scene of him them fighting.
Yeah.
And I get the idea. Like I have had it explained to me. He puts on the glasses and then he sees.
Yeah, everything's all an advertisement all the time. Yeah.
And what the advertisement really means is to say
that's basically what it really is now.
I know. It really does. I can't believe that what a predictive, maybe not predictive programming, maybe just a actually predictive movie that was. Because I see that and I'm like, well, that's obviously what we have.
Yeah.
It's like you're looking at a billboard. He puts on the glasses, and instead of being a billboard for some clothes, it says consume.
Yeah.
Or
eat.
Eat.
Obey. Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I totally believe that. Like the whole psychology being introduced into advertisements is so scary and way overdone.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like I'm not against advertisements. Those can be good things, and like everybody should have the right to advertise what they want you to sell to you. It's just they have gone such an extra step into people's brains with the way that they have like introduced psychology.
Straightforward advertising is one thing where it's like, this is an ad for a thing that I want you to buy. But when it's in everything, like every movie you watch, every book you read, everything you do, every person, like public facing person that interacts in any way is an advertisement for something.
Yeah.
For natural gas or for electric vehicles or anything.
Yeah.
You know, everything's an advertisement.
And sometimes I feel like it's almost like false advertising that like, oh, this thing, the New York Times or something, oh, it's just here to tell you what's going on and what's really already organically happening. That's what you believe.
Right.
But actually, it's the same thing with, actually, it's just all just what they want you to think is popular and good and should be your opinion. That's not like what you're advertised really it's not what you're expecting to get from just reading a newspaper. And the radio, like Taylor Swift sucks. And the only reason that she's so popular is because she was pushed by people who have the ability to get her songs onto the radio. And Kanye West said in 2016, when he went crazy during one of his concerts and he was just going off, he said, radio lies to you. Radio puts what they want you to listen to out, and then you're like, oh, from there you're like, this is popular and this is good because it's on the radio. It's obvious. It's not that. It's just an advertisement. Oh, become a Taylor Swift fan. It's not like there's not someone out there who's better at singing and songwriting and all that stuff than Taylor Swift, and there really is.
That's what all those industries do. Like fashion is the biggest one. I'm convinced that they are on a mission to make the stupidest looking clothes they possibly can and still have people buy them.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. These terribly ugly clothes are so popular and wonderful. Don't you want them? Of course I do. They're thousands of dollars. Why don't you buy this brick with the word Supreme on it for $4,000? No, I'm not going to, but people will.
Yeah. I like to watch a lot of like YouTubers and Snapchatting people that are like in their early 20s and they have all this money because they're influencers. I don't know why I like to watch it sometimes. Sometimes I like to watch it just to be like, what's wrong with these people in a way? But I saw this guy who you can go into this store. I actually forgot what store it is now. It's not Supreme, but it's something like that. And he went into the outlet mall in San Marcos, Texas. There's like some pretty nice outlets there. And he's paid $200 for this little dog stuffed animal that has the name of the brand, whatever it is, on it. And I was just flabbergasted. It's like you could buy clothes with that, and that would be more fun to me.
Sometimes you'll see a white t-shirt, just a plain white t-shirt for hundreds of dollars. There's not even a label on it. Nobody knows that t-shirt is made by the person that you bought it from, that you think is some kind of flex.
Yeah.
So why are you spending this? Just buy a white t-shirt.
Yeah.
It looks just like every other white t-shirt I've ever seen.
And the other thing about it is I've been seeing these things just kind of pop up for me on YouTube and stuff, where it's somebody who's actually pretty educated in the materials clothing are made of and what's better and what's worse. And they'll go into something that's like, not like, it's not really like Louis Vuitton, but like Zara. they'll go into Zara and H&M and stuff like that, and they're like, so these people are selling this sweater for $50. Let's look at let's look it up close. Oh, look, it's a bunch of uneven stitching and not very well made, and it doesn't have a liner like it should. And let's look at the material it's made of. Oh, if you put this even in the dryer on like the very lowest heat, it's gonna immediately start melting and turning into the little balls all over your clothes. And they're selling it for way more than even $50. I just kind of threw that out.
Yeah, it's all still fast fashion made by, child slaves in a factory somewhere, but it's got a tag on it.
Yep, and it has the right brands.
The brand. I never understood brand love unless the thing that they're selling is superior quality.
Right.
Which most of the time it's not.
And that's how I just get so confused about what I want to wear anymore, because it's like I don't have a mall near me. I am always ordering stuff and then returning it. Like I have stuff sitting over there that I've ordered that I just needed more jeans, and I'm just returning it because, well, okay, the jeans are because like it's hard to figure out what things are going to fit you online. But then there's a shirt over there that looks really nice, but it's so see-through and it's made with all these little lines through it, like as if it was ironed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sat on my bed for like one day before I picked it up to like put into the laundry, and all of those lines are all messed up. Like in a way, I'd have to sit there and
like
carefully iron it if I and it says dry clean only, so I'm like definitely returning that. I think like a lot of times you think, oh, you're ordering it from this nicer place, so it's gonna be nicer. But I actually have a story we could get into maybe another time that's talking about how way more people are thrifting
I love
nowadays.
Thrift stores.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite things when I lived in Utah was they have DI.
Oh yeah.
And they're
Deseret
huge.
Industries.
They're enormous. Like all the Mormons, they donate their clothes to the DIs, and you go in there and there's just so much stuff. And so my favorite thing about thrifting is most of that stuff is, worn once or twice. A lot of it's really new. You can find things with tags still on, but
yeah, they'll throw away the crappy stuff, so it's awesome.
Yeah. Right, they throw away the crappy stuff. And so you find things in there that are obviously going to last you because they're now used by somebody and they lasted and haven't fallen apart, haven't gotten a hole in it, haven't got a run in it. So it's, constructed well.
That's so true. Like some of my best t-shirts I've had for a long time were either given to me by someone's mom or from a thrift store.
Yeah. And you're not going to, go wherever out and see somebody wearing the same exact thing you're wearing either, which I like.
That is a good point. I feel like I haven't been to every single one, but I've been to two thrift stores in Keene, and I didn't find them very amazing. And I went to one that we actually have in Texas also, but I had never been to it in Texas. It's called Savers in Manchester, and oh my God, that one was terrible.
Yeah, I went a couple times to thrift stores here and I didn't like them very much. The only thing that I look for at the thrift stores out here is wool, because people get rid of their wool and it's expensive.
And that doesn't pill.
Yeah.
I went to a bunch of thrift stores I actually forgot with Ian, but not clothing ones, more like stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just really fun. That was a fun day because, I don't know, Ian, he hates to spend any money because it's like, well, it's a good trait. Like it's, he's taking care of the money that God gave him, and he's not trying to just spend it all day. But when you go to a thrift store with Ian, he might be more likely to get something fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was a fun day. I got like a butter thing that sits on the counter. I've always wanted one of those because that just makes butter so much better.
Yeah. Softened butter. Yeah.
I don't even know how it doesn't go bad. It just doesn't.
Do you use salted butter?
No.
Oh.
For that? Do I need to use salted butter for that?
If you want to leave it out, you should use salted butter. The salt preserves it and it's safe to leave out. But if you use unsalted butter, it can go bad being left out. It can it won't go bad and make you sick probably if you use it quickly, but it can go rancid and not taste quite as good.
Then I'm going to start buying salted butter in sticks because maybe we shouldn't have this conversation on air, but I'm always just putting I always buy sticks of butters unsalted because I'm going to need unsalted in baking. And then I buy a tub, not really spreadable, so that's what sucks, of salted.
You can bake with salted butter.
Yeah,
you
it's just you change
use a quarter teaspoon less salt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And maybe I'll just start going straight to the salted everything. I didn't know that, but I'm always checking it before I eat butter that's been left on the counter. I'm always looking at it how did it not go bad?
Yeah.
Still looks the same to me. Like, kind of goes like plastic on the outside.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
if you
it
leave
gets
too long?
it changes the color of it and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's not unsalted. If you use salted, it'll last longer, better.
Wow. Interesting. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lori, if you guys didn't know, is like an amazing baker. I haven't even said anything in person. She got me or gave me a box of cookies for Christmas, and oh my god, that was just amazing. They were so good.
I'm glad
it was
you
such
liked
a
them.
pretty box and everything. It was such a sweet Christmas thing. And her husband brought it over to me, so that was so nice, and thanks to him. And if you want to learn about baking in the Free State Project, which by the way, we're here in New Hampshire for the Free State Project. It's I don't know if you consider yourself here for the Free State Project.
I'm just here because there's a lot of like-minded individuals here.
Right.
I didn't specifically move here for the Free State Project. I grew up in New England, and then I found Stu in Utah, and I was like, it's terrible here. Let's go back to New England. So,
what was wrong in Utah? Was it like getting too overcrowded?
There's a lot of homeless problems, and there's a lot of religious overtones in everything, and it's kind of oppressive.
Yeah, I agree with
the religious overtones. When I first moved there, they had the curtain laws at bars. So you couldn't go to the bar unless you were part of the club or invited somebody as part of the club. So you had to have a membership to the bar.
Wow.
They stopped that while I was living there, but it was just really weird. Everything about living in Utah kind of has Mormonism inside of it.
Right. That's why people living there have no idea that there's not like a bunch of Mormons everywhere else that they live.
And they're super passive aggressive.
Yes,
and I don't like it.
Can definitely
just
happen.
be aggressive. If you're going to be aggressive, just do it.
Well, I was interested in what you didn't like about it there because I like it there, but I also had to leave. I couldn't be a young adult in Utah. I might possibly consider moving there again as an adult who's not looking for fun stuff to do, but it was absolutely I couldn't live there in my early 20s.
Right.
But so we moved here, at least I moved here, and Ian, my husband, moved here who started this show because it is a place where like-minded individuals are moving to try to change things, and you can learn more about that from thefreestateproject.com or maybe just freestateproject.com, but you don't have to sign the thing like I did, but you can also revoke your signature, and you don't have to sign it at all. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. 603-283-6160.
Among other things, I've been called frugal. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. Hey, it all adds up, so it makes sense to question every expense now. For instance, can you live without your telephone landline? That bill shows up like clockwork month after month, while you make most of your calls on a smartphone, right? Unless you need what we used to call the phone company for internet access, cut the cord and take a closer look at your credit card bill. What recurring charges can you live without? Apps like Truebill help you track and manage your subscriptions. If you bank with Bank of America, their free Keep the Change feature rounds up your purchases to the next dollar and deposits it into your savings account. It all adds up. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow. The United Nations says thousands of Palestinians are trying to flee as Israel expands its ground offensive in central Gaza. The Palestinian president has described the situation as beyond a war of annihilation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says at least 195 people have been killed over the past 24 hours, and over 21,000 people have died over the past 11 weeks. On October 7th, Hamas launched an attack on Israel that killed around 1,200 people and took about 240 Israelis hostage. Emergency medical team coordinator at the World Health Organization, Sean Casey, says Gaza's functioning hospitals are a bloodbath.
Health capacity is at about 20% of what it was 80 or so days ago. So almost all of the hospital beds, almost all of the hospital services have stopped functioning, either because the facilities themselves have been affected, because the staff have been forced to flee, because they run out of power, or they run out of medical supplies.
The Israeli Defense Forces say it struck 200 Hamas targets in Gaza in the past 24 hours, as it looks to expand its operation within the besieged enclave. It comes as American forces in the region report an uptick in attacks on the Red Sea from Iranian-backed militias based in Yemen. From Tel Aviv, Trent Murray reports.
The US Navy says warships and F-18 Super Hornets from the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group downed 17 kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles which have been fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen, a group which has been linked to Iran. It comes as diplomats here grow increasingly concerned about the arena of this conflict in Gaza continuing to expand. We've seen more rockets fired from Lebanon overnight, as well as an airstrike on the Syrian capital Damascus, targeting an Iranian commander. Tehran reacting with fury, saying Israel will pay a heavy price.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico in an effort to tackle a surge in illegal immigration as thousands of migrants trek through the country towards the United States. America's top diplomat is meeting President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the capital at a time when border crossings into the US are hitting record numbers, with often 10,000 people reaching the southern border per day. Benji Hire reports.
Antony Blinken and Homeland Security officials are asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security, but that remains stalled in Congress.
And the New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft on claims of copyright infringement. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today at Iran's strategy in light of the October the 7th Hamas attacks on Israel and Israel's subsequent military onslaught against Gaza. Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen are threatening to target US-led naval ships that are trying to protect commercial traffic in the Red Sea after a series of drone strikes that targeted vessels the Houthis suspect of having ties to Israel. Sir William Patey is a former senior British diplomat. He served as ambassador to several countries in the region and says Iran's malign influence is a big challenge for the West.
They're certainly exercising malign influence, supporting the Houthis in their attacks on shipping, supporting Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Syrian regime, and are strong supporters of Hamas. I mean, it certainly makes sense from the Iranians. They want to expand their influence. They want to increase support for them. Iran threatens friends and allies in the region. Sometimes you have to respond in kind, but they're playing a very dangerous game at the moment. They are, backing the Houthis, backing attacks on shipping, and there is a danger that this could escalate.
The US, meanwhile, says it attacked Iran-backed militias in Iraq after they injured American service personnel in a drone strike on a US airbase in Erbil. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
FSN is an independent source of news for TV, radio and digital networks worldwide. You can find more of our minute-by-minute updates on Twitter. Follow us there at Feature Story. And we have a wealth of audio and video stories from our global news bureaus on Facebook.
You can find us there by following Feature Story News. Stay tuned for further updates right here. But for now, that's the latest Feature Story News. William Denton.
Take the Field's mission is to inform baseball players that physical activity is nothing to be scared of, that a little bit of running can be fun.
Now, Rebecca, this obesity problem is nothing new.
Well, right. There is a culture of obesity in baseball that has been around for years. I mean, coaches even sub in healthy pinch runners instead of encouraging their overweight players to hustle, depriving them of the only cardiovascular exercise they might have a chance to get.
And a lot of these athletes have been playing baseball since they were kids.
Well, right. So they might have never learned any healthy habits.
Baseball is fine in moderation, but many of these men spend over 200 days a year playing it, and that adds up.
The program encourages players once an hour to take a 15-minute break from baseball to do something active, like go up and down some stairs, go for a walk, or play some basketball.
All right, well, thanks, Rebecca. If you're a baseball coach and you're worried about your players' health, go to takethefield.gov for a list of healthy activities and nutritious snacks. Coming up next, does America brains get worse hearing words correct?
This is the Onion News Network.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's talk radio that you control. In 603-283-6160 is the phone number for you to call. You can bring up whatever is on your mind, whatever you want to get out to people. It's 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Lori.
And I wanted to tell you that this hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash, Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Tired of the ever-inflating US dollar? You can live your life on Dash instead with some handy websites. BitRefill.com has been accepting Dash for years and has a ton of big-name retailers and brands, including grocers, gas stations, phone refills, Amazon, and even prepaid MasterCards. Plus, many of their gift cards are available at a discount. What about paying your bills? Spritz.finance can do that, and they can send dollars to your bank account in case you still need those for some reason. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. And thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. That's dash.org. Well, Lori, you brought in a story that you wanted to talk about today, and it's about people having an addiction. What kind of addiction?
It's a phobia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a new phobia has arisen. It says, this is from Forbes.com. It says, a psychologist describes a new phobia on the rise, nomophobia. Have you ever wondered what your life would be like without a smartphone? Some may envision life of peace without distraction, whereas some may see a life with less convenience and connection. Others, however, may feel terrified of the idea entirely. Psychological research has uncovered a new fear, nomophobia, where individuals become filled with dread, anxiety, and panic at the thought of being without their smartphone. It's so silly.
I can't really make fun of them, I'm not going to lie. It's ridiculous to get to the point of being a phobia, but it did suck when the FBI stole my phone for like 4 days. I mean,
it's because you keep your whole everything in there.
Right.
You know, every phone number you have. And
yeah, it was hard to like function. I just sat there one day and I was like, I was like, there was lots of other reasons for me to be sitting in my kitchen, not like knowing what to do with my life. But I was just like, oh, I hadn't even told my sister or my parents or anything what happened. And I happened to remember my sister's phone number. So I dialed it on my home phone. I was like, I can't even believe I remember her actual phone number.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just because it was like a couple off from my old one. But so I called her and I was just like, I told her what had happened. And it took like 4 days for that to happen because I wasn't even thinking like, oh, wait, I have a way to contact people.
I've gone without technology a few times. Like we lived in the desert in Arizona for a while, just like boondocking in the middle of the desert in a camper and had no phone
Wi-Fi
whatsoever.
yeah.
No because we were. It was an hour to the closest store from where we were in the desert. Like there was wild horses and stuff. It was cool.
Oh my gosh, pretty.
It was cool. But it was great.
Nice.
It was fantastic. Nobody's going to call me. Nobody's going to interrupt me. I don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm bored. I'm just going to scroll mindlessly. And I'm just going to do something productive with my time. I'm going to learn something or read something that I've been wanting to read.
And that sounds awesome for a planned thing, you know?
I mean, it wasn't, but
Oh.
it was like we just decided to pick up one day and travel across the country and just stop wherever we wanted.
But I do kind of understand that where they're coming from for like, oh, what would I do right now if my phone just suddenly exploded? That would be kind of a problem. Ian wouldn't know what's going on because he's in jail. Just all these little things, like all of my, I don't know, logging into things. I guess that doesn't really matter. I don't store it on my phone anymore. But it used to be, it would have been really bad because I stored a lot of things on my phone. And yeah, you just get a new phone and then reset it there. I also lost my phone in a mall. I'm pretty sure it was like stolen. Like somebody probably saw it sitting wherever I freaking sat it and then stole it.
Yeah.
And that was really terrible. And it, oh my God, like it just made me feel so powerless and angry. But it's like also it was stolen. So anything stolen from you may make you feel that way.
Yeah.
But
the violation of having something stolen.
Right.
But I think like if I lost my phone tomorrow, I think I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'd just go to someone's house if I needed to talk to them.
Yeah, but luckily
Or send them a letter.
I've been cutting down so much on social media that it wouldn't as much be for me a social thing. I think that's the more ridiculous reason to be afraid of it. Is just because you're like, oh my God, what are my Twitter followers gonna think? Like that's you've
that's
got a
weird.
problem. Yeah.
Right.
And I noticed that like without Ian here, I went from like every single thought in my head, I just say it out loud to Ian, to like being actually alone. And I started being on Twitter way too much to where I was like, I think it's making me negative. And I turned it off and I feel so much better.
Good.
It's better to just actually go to my friend's house and hang out with her.
Social media is toxic.
Yeah.
I use it for, rabbit sales.
Oh,
And-
I think about what you meant, but you really meant that.
Yeah, rabbit sales and, using Messenger to talk to friends. But other than
Yeah.
that, and post memes. Like, I don't do anything on Facebook.
I think Facebook is the worst one for like depression and stuff.
And I don't
too.
have a Twitter. I don't have Instagram. I don't have any of that stuff.
And Instagram is also one of the worst ones in my opinion. But Twitter's also bad. They're all three really
TikTok.
bad.
Like,
But
all of them.
I don't know why I don't get addicted to TikTok. If I can use it sparingly. It's like no one else can do that. They're like,
I just don't use it.
if you went on to it, no, you can't do that. You're going to get an addiction. But no, that doesn't happen to me.
No.
I don't get lost for hours. I think I get lost more on YouTube, but I have such fun things I watch on YouTube and Odyssey that are actually like things I learn and stuff.
YouTube I like.
Yeah.
But like I don't have an account or anything. I watch stuff on there.
And it's not a social thing even if you have an account, so
Right.
it's much better. I mean, I guess some people
It can
use
be.
it that way
I guess
somehow.
they have like live videos,
Mhm.
like live watches where you can interact on there.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't like anything like that. I like to like watch these people, like I was talking about, people buying things, people who are like interested in just showing you their clothes when I
Mhm.
have like nothing else to do. That's something I do to be entertained. But I don't even like the idea of like talking to them, like, oh, I'm gonna comment on her picture. Like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah, it's parasocial and weird.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know you. I have I have nothing to say to that person.
It's like when they say like, okay, anyways, good night all my Snapchat followers. I love you so much. Ian is always, if he hears me watching one of them, then he's always like, oh yeah, sure, she loves you,
Yeah, can I
Bonnie."
borrow $20?
Oh my God.
Right.
That's so funny. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that this has become an actual phobia.
Yeah. To measure the severity of this phobia and its impact on daily life, researchers have developed a test designed to assess and diagnose nomophobia. This tool not only shed light on the prevalence of this modern anxiety, but also prompts a broader discussion about our dependence on technology and its implications for mental well-being. What is nomophobia? Contracting the phrase no mobile phone phobia.
Oh, okay. I was like, why is it Nomo? That almost sounds like nomenclature, like name or something. I don't know. That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I find it silly that they had to come up with a name for this. Are these people really really terrified to the point where it's a phobia? Like a phobia is something that you cannot handle.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll cry and be a mess on the floor, shaking. Like if somebody has arachnophobia and you bring a spider in the room, they literally can't function.
Yeah.
So people really are addicted to their devices to the point where if you took their device away, they would be non-functional.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
That's
and
weird.
scared. That's the other thing that's weird about it to me.
Yeah, scared of not having a mobile device.
But one thing that makes me believe it for some people is I've seen these posts online a lot where people are like, they live in the city and they're like, have you ever had to go into like the woods and see that there's like people's houses there? That thought terrifies me. And I can't
like
imagine
heaven.
that. I just can't imagine being scared of that. But also, like, I don't know. Maybe I understand that it could be creepy to be like stuck out there and be like having to rely on these possible people that are creepy out in the middle of nowhere. But just like having your car and everything and driving out there terrifies you. That's stupid.
You're way more likely to be the victim of a crime in a city than you are living in the middle of nowhere.
That's a good point.
Because if you're in the middle of nowhere, they have to have a purpose to be there.
Well, is it a crime if Bigfoot committed it, or is it just an act of nature?
I don't think it's a crime.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So research defines nomophobia as the fear of being detached from smartphone connectivity. While it is not yet considered a legitimate mental disorder like other specific phobias, such as fears of animal storms, heights, etc., nomophobia's conceptualization is founded on definitions from the Diagnostic Manual of Mental Disorders, which changes like every year.
And I just think it's ridiculous that any of these things are really classified as like a mental disorder. Like my grandma is the most scared of spiders person that I know at all. And even then, it doesn't seem like it's something where it's like, oh, it impacts her entire life. You know, like one time she had to stay at my house whenever she came and visited. I just went and slept at my little brother's or my little sister's room with them and let my grandma and my grandpa sleep at my house. And I had this wire that I don't remember what it was, and it had fallen off the roof. It was just kind of hanging, and it was windy, so there was like the noise of it hitting or scratching the wall. And my grandpa was already like, I'm black in this place in the middle of nowhere, and I just don't like being here. And he thought somebody was like coming into the house. But my grandma said she woke up thinking because I had told her there are tarantulas in the mountain 8 miles away.
Yeah.
She was like, it's a tarantula scratching to be let in, and couldn't sleep. It was so, I couldn't believe that. But
I don't understand being scared of something to that point.
Yeah.
Flying is the thing I'm scared most of. I'm terrified of flying. I hate it.
Yeah. I don't like it.
It's not the flying part. It's the fact that I feel like if I do it, then I'll have a sudden stop. The sudden stop, that's the scary part, you know.
What do you mean?
Like crashing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, sudden stop.
Not the flying part. But I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I have to go somewhere across the country and the most convenient way for me to do it is to get on a plane, then I'm just going to get on the plane and fly.
Yeah.
Like I've flown in Cessnas just for fun to see what things are like.
In what?
In Cessnas, like the little planes.
Oh.
Like I've gone up in a little plane just to see something that I wanted to see, or I've gone in big planes. And that's the thing I'm most scared of. So I don't understand being like afraid of anything to the point where you can't function.
Yeah, that's
it's weird. It seems
that's crazy to me that you're not more scared of anything else, because like that's pretty impressive, because I feel the same way. Like I'm scared of planes, but not. It's the same thing. Like if I need to get on it, I'll just do it, and then it's over. But sometimes I have to use a bathroom in the middle of the air on the plane, and it scares me so bad, because I'm just thinking, it's absolutely irrational. It's less about the like getting sucked out of the toilet. It's more I just imagine the whole little room that I'm in breaking off from the plane and I'm falling. What would happen? And I seriously, oh my God, I have to pee and run out of there. Like just get out of that little hole.
I've never even considered that.
I'm sorry.
because if that happens, then everyone's going down with me too.
Exactly. So. It's true. But I don't know why. I know why it is actually. It's because you go in there and it's you don't have like the comforting look of the cab of the plane. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's louder in there too.
And you hear all the noise.
Yeah, it's louder in there.
It sounds like it's about to rip off for some reason. It's so loud.
I'm just convinced that's going to happen in the whole plane. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why it doesn't bother me, because I'm like, someone's going to do something stupid and we're all going to get sucked out, or we're going to crash, or something's going to happen. Like that's my fear of planes.
I feel the same way, but like you said, I just
do it.
Do it. Like the night before I do start being like, I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I have to fly in the air tomorrow. And I don't like that, but I'll do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I'll still do it.
but I can't think of anything else that is like, oh, I can't. Like, my grandma can't be in the room with a spider. She's like, spiders, walks out and someone else has to deal with it. Like, I don't like spiders, but I'll go up and kill it. It sucks so bad, but I will kill it if I have to. Or, like, the ones that aren't as scary, I will try to free them. But I'm not freeing a freaking tarantula in my house.
I mean, I don't like rattlesnakes, but I'm not paralyzed with fear. Like, we had, I went outside one day out of the camper when we were in Arizona, and I walked out, and I turned around and I had walked right past a rattlesnake, like within striking distance. It was monsoon season and it was cold because it had just rained. So the rattlesnake was cold, so it wasn't doing anything. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can get it out of here by like spraying it with water or throwing ice cubes at it. Like, I was trying everything and it wouldn't leave.
Whoa.
Yeah. But like, I'm not petrified of them to the point where I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be sitting there in fear, unable to.
My sister is of snakes. I didn't think of that. She is so scared of snakes. Like, if I am like, Hazel, look at this, I show her a picture, she is disturbed.
Too.
Yeah,
pictures.
A picture of it.
A picture of it. Like, what is the picture going to do to you? I don't understand.
I
if somebody shows me
either.
a picture of a plane, I'm not like, oh no, a plane.
I understand a little bit because like I'm not going to say I even have arachnophobia. I don't like spiders because they're freaky. They're gross. But if I see a picture of a spider, and especially for like too long, and I'm like, look, because sometimes I like do this thing where I look at something that's really scary and gross and creepy just to get myself creeped out. And then I don't know how to explain it. I get this like feeling that is like, whoa, this, I gotta stop looking at this.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I think it affects my sister way more. It's like,
that's the psychology behind like scary movies, why people like scary movies and amusement park rides, because we like to be scared. Life is so safe now.
Yeah.
Like, everything's so safe. You're not going to get attacked by a bear probably, you know? So we watch things and do things to get that adrenaline rush. So.
Like, did you ever see wind scorpions in Utah?
Yeah. And tarantulas. I think spiders are kind of cool.
I think wind scorpions it's the same thing as a camel spider, but they call it wind scorpions in Utah for some reason. I think those are like an extra level above scariness than spiders, like regular spiders. And sometimes like I'm telling someone about those that have never lived anywhere else, and I'm like, well, I gotta show you. So every time that happens, I go on like a spree of looking at them on Google. It must be just what you're saying, like people liking to be afraid, because I get so disturbed after that. And okay, I can say that there actually was a time I was more afraid of something than made any sense, but it was because I kept having freaky encounters with them. It was scorpions in Texas. It was it had just been raining for like 2 weeks, like straight, and so much rain. And I lived in a classy trailer. And like the lady I worked with in my neighborhood, she was like, I don't call them trailers, I call them mobile homes. It's like, okay, yeah,
it's the same
whatever
thing. Yeah.
But yeah, she's a whole other story. But
words matter.
It was raining so much that I was just standing there talking to my boyfriend, and he's like pulls me away from the wall, and there's a scorpion right behind my head. Then like a week into it, or maybe a couple days later, I had not stopped thinking about that scorpion encounter, and I was going to the bathroom. There's a mat in front of my feet, and I was like, there's no way, because that was like the first time I ever had a scorpion in my house. So I was like, there's no way this would happen. But what if I pick up this mat that's right by my feet and there's a scorpion there? And there was.
And there was.
It wasn't moving. There was no reason for me to think that. And there was a scorpion under the mat. And that was only number 2. And then I kept seeing them because that lady I worked with, I was cleaning houses with her. And I kept seeing them in this house that like was uninhabited, but the parents were dead and the kids were taking care of it. I kept seeing like dead scorpions there because they would spray and stuff. And I'd vacuum them up. And it was terrible. And I was having like nightmares about them, and if I had to go get under my bed for something, I was just like, I can't do it. I gotta get my boyfriend to do it, because what if there's a scorpion there? But that kind of makes a little sense, doesn't it? Because
there's a lot of scorpions,
and they can harm you.
Yeah,
and I encountered them so many times.
Right, that's preservation.
Yeah,
and that's not really a phobia. That's
and
just being scared of something that's dangerous.
Right, and it went away. So it's not like the rest of my life I've just been like thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, we stopped in Texas, and Stu went to go hook up the water from the trailer, and when he reached his hand down, there was a scorpion there.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so
it's terrible.
I guess there's just a lot of scorpions in Texas.
Yeah,
in general,
there are.
Like, so I guess maybe not planes is the most scary thing. Rabies is the most scary thing.
That's terrifying.
But I'm not like, I still wouldn't be paralyzed. One time I was walking down in this lake in Massachusetts where I lived. I was walking around a lake and I had my headphones on and I looked up and there was a raccoon, like, I don't know, 50 feet away from me. And it was all walking drunk. And I was like, oh no, it has rabies. And like, I walked backwards. Like, I can't imagine being scared of it, something like that, like something dangerous, actually dangerous and freezing. Like when you have some kind of phobia, not being able to function.
Yeah.
You get bit by a rabid raccoon.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem very smart, evolutionary wise.
I bet some people would freeze and some people would just run the second they saw it.
Yeah, just
any
get away from
direction.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
just get away from it. Yeah, those are really creepy because if you get that for too long, rabies, then you get this phobia of water, and that's so weird.
Yeah, hydrophobia. It's not even really a phobia. They call it hydrophobia because it's actually a physical reaction to water. It's not like they're scared of water.
But the videos look like they're like scared of water.
Yeah,
so
they're
maybe
using
that's
like
why.
hydrophobic in the term, like oil is hydrophobic. Like it won't. Yeah. You can't put
So,
them
like-
together. So a hydrophobic person with rabies, their body literally won't let them drink water.
Whoa.
It will shut their esophagus, and they can't drink water.
It's just so weird because you see these videos and they like throw the cup, like it's like their body is like no water. That's so terrible.
It's because rabies has developed to make you not drink water so that you drool. So you're more infectious.
Ew. Oh my God.
It's a vector. It's a side effect of rabies making your body more contagious.
This is the most terrifying.
Rabies
disease.
is terrifying. Yeah.
Absolutely
And there's only
terrible.
one person that's lived like after having rabies.
Whoa.
After contracting it and showing symptoms, there's only one person ever that's lived. They've done they use the Milwaukee protocol, which is like they put you in a coma, and like 6 people have gone through it, but 5 of them eventually died anyway, and only one person has lived, and she's like severely damaged afterwards.
Oh my goodness. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's really terrifying.
Yeah. So like, but those are dangerous things.
Yeah,
being afraid of a dangerous thing is normal, but being afraid of not having a phone is not normal.
It's not normal.
It's not dangerous.
Yeah, it's not. I can understand a little bit of anxiety because it's how we live our lives now, but being terrified.
That's the word.
Crazy.
Like, terrified of not having a phone. Says the research outlines that symptoms of nomophobia include many of those seen in other specific phobias, such as anxiety, shaking, sweating, agitation, and breathing difficulties.
Oh my.
Yeah, you can't
Sweating?
breathe. You can't breathe because you lost your phone.
I can't breathe.
Yeah. It was also found that those with low self-esteem and extroversion may be more prone to the overuse of smartphones and therefore more likely to experience nomophobia. Maybe that's what it is. I'm introverted and I totally like myself. So,
Oh, I
so
see.
yeah.
Oh, extroverts are more likely?
Extroverts
Oh.
with low self-esteem.
I don't know why I thought it said introverts with low self-esteem, but yeah, that
Extroverts.
makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they thrive on interaction.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. According to one study which aimed to review global statistics on the prevalence of the phobia, approximately 21% of the adult population suffer from severe nomophobia,
Oh my God.
and around 71% of the population has moderate nomophobia.
That's just like at this point they're just not using the word correctly because it's like 21% of people actually being unable to breathe, sweating, and
shaking
because they don't have their phone.
I mean, it's research studies are always skewed because they
Yeah.
take like a population of people, 100 people,
Yeah.
and if 21 of those people, then that's 21%.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But
and
they
I've
could
never
have just
understood.
chosen terrible people.
Yeah, all extroverts or whatever.
Yeah.
603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Oh, man.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join today.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow. The United Nations says thousands of Palestinians are trying to flee as Israel expands its ground offensive in central Gaza. The Palestinian president has described the situation as beyond a war of annihilation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says at least 195 people have been killed over the past 24 hours, and over 21,000 people have died over the past 11 weeks. On October 7th, Hamas launched an attack on Israel that killed around 1,200 people and took about 240 Israelis hostage. Emergency medical team coordinator at the World Health Organization, Sean Casey, says Gaza's functioning hospitals are a bloodbath.
Health capacity is at about 20% of what it was 80 or so days ago. So almost all of the hospital beds, almost all of the hospital services have stopped functioning, either because the facilities themselves have been affected, because the staff have been forced to flee, because they run out of power, or they run out of medical supplies.
The Israeli Defense Forces say it struck 200 Hamas targets in Gaza in the past 24 hours, as it looks to expand its operation within the besieged enclave. It comes as American forces in the region report an uptick in attacks on the Red Sea from Iranian-backed militias based in Yemen. From Tel Aviv, Trent Murray reports.
The US Navy says warships and F-18 Super Hornets from the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group downed 17 kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles which had been fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen, a group which has been linked to Iran. It comes as diplomats here grow increasingly concerned about the arena of this conflict in Gaza continuing to expand. We've seen more rockets fired from Lebanon overnight, as well as an airstrike on the Syrian capital Damascus, targeting an Iranian commander. Tehran reacting with fury, saying Israel will pay a heavy price.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico in an effort to tackle a surge in illegal immigration as thousands of migrants trek through the country towards the United States. America's top diplomat is meeting President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the capital at a time when border crossings into the US are hitting record numbers, with often 10,000 people reaching the southern border per day. Benji Hire reports.
Antony Blinken and Homeland Security officials are asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security, but that remains stalled in Congress.
And the New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft on claims of copyright infringement. From bureaus worldwide, this.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live. It's talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number that you can call. That's 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Lori.
And I want to tell you about ForkFest 2023. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 13th through the 16th for the 8th annual ForkFest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which has sold out in recent years. ForkFest happens the weekend before the Porcupine Freedom Festival. ForkFest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 13th through the 16th. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest, Telegram, and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there June 13th through the 16th. Forkfest.party. And we were talking before the segment went to a break about people who actually get the sweats from their nomophobia. And what is that, Lori?
Nomophobia is the no mobile phone. Is that what they said it was? No mobile phone phobia.
It's a ridiculous name.
Yeah, it's silly. So they say dealing with nomophobia can be incredibly challenging, given the ubiquitous role smartphones play in modern life. The constant connectivity they provide has become integral to daily routines, making the mere thought of separation a source of intense anxiety for many. This phobia not only induces immediate emotional distress, but can also contribute to long-term psychological effects that could affect overall well-being. How to know if you have nomophobia.
Oh, do I have that? That's such a... I honestly get so annoyed with almost every single, what do you call it? Mental disorder. That people act like, oh, it's something you have or don't have. Okay, maybe there are things that are really extreme, like schizophrenia. I'm not even going to talk about that. But something like anxiety. Oh, you have anxiety and I don't have anxiety. Not sometimes you're anxious about things that would make somebody anxious and sometimes you're not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do I have that?
Well, there's different, being anxious and having anxiety are different.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, those people have just convinced themselves that they are anxious because they've been anxious for too long about things that maybe absolutely make no sense and they shouldn't be.
Correct.
And then they're just they're like, I have anxiety. Well, it's not that I'm being ridiculous. It's that I have anxiety because a doctor told them that. And I understand that's different to be anxious about a certain thing than to just
generalized anxiety.
I'm anxious all day for nothing. But
it's not for nothing. That's the thing. Is they have people who have generalized anxiety disorder or whatever that are anxious, they have panic attacks and stuff like that out of nowhere, seemingly. They're anxious about something. They're just not thinking about it.
That's such a good point.
They're subconsciously anxious about something. There's something wrong in their life that they're not addressing, and so they're anxious.
That makes so much sense.
Or they're not taking care of their actual physical health.
That's what I was thinking.
A lot of people who go out and drink a lot have anxiety and they have panic attacks because the next day they wake up and they're hungover and they have the shakes and they don't feel good and they're dehydrated. And so being dehydrated makes your blood pressure rise, and all these things contribute to feeling anxious, and then you feel even more anxious, and it's a vicious circle of the anxiety and the not taking care of your mental and physical well-being.
I totally believe that, because it's just not eating certain foods has helped me break through in so many ways in the sector of taking care of just my mental health and how I want to be in the world. Just not eating certain foods and not drinking alcohol, I really can tell the difference of how I feel now. That's why some people are like, oh, how could you deprive yourself of fried foods? Don't think of the taste. Think of
what
feeling
it's doing
better
to you
all the time.
Yeah, what it's doing to you. Before we had our first kid, I would like to go out and party. We went, I dealt poker for a job at bars and stuff. And so I'd be out drinking and having a good time and eating whatever I wanted. And then I decided to have a baby. And I was like, okay, no more drinking. And I ate super duper healthy, all whole foods, and worked out all the time. And before that, I had anxiety. So I was having panic attacks. And after I did all that, it just went away.
Wow.
Completely just went away. I had no more panic attacks, no more anxiety. I felt great.
And a lot of people like to say, oh, these people don't know what they're talking about. Actually, it's just that those people, the chemistry of their brain is permanently born incorrect. Well, actually, that was proven not to be true.
Yeah.
It was this study in England, and they went over all the other studies that people have used to make the claim that depression comes from a brain that is imbalanced with their chemicals, and they poked holes in all those and showed how that doesn't actually prove that at all, and there is no proof for that.
Right. Yeah, and if you're having, say you have serotonin uptake problems, you don't make enough serotonin, then find a hobby that makes you happy and gives you serotonin. Like, find something, whatever is wrong in your life, and address it instead of just taking whatever medication they're going to throw
And
at you.
continuing your crappy life.
And then still feeling that way and needing to depend on that medication.
Yeah. It's really terrifying. I'm glad I never did any of that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I understand how people get trapped into it. Like, they just grew up with parents that are unquestioning people, and they're like, oh, my daughter is sad. Can you figure out why my 13-year-old daughter is sad? And the doctor says, well, she needs to be on Zoloft, and then she is.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Oh, my 6-year-old won't sit still. Will you give him something for ADHD? Like, they're 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won't sit still.
That's so sad.
That's what they do, is
And
not
then
sit still.
The thing is, when you let a doctor label your kids like that, like, I'm not a parent. I'm not telling any parents how to live, but I've been a 3rd grader. And when I was in 3rd grade, it was the first year I was in school at all. I was homeschooled until then. And there was a girl in my class who needed, quote, a helper, and I was the smartest kid. So they chose me to be her helper. And so I would sit next to her and be like, so this is why this makes sense, blah, 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 and explain things to her. And she is still my friend to this day, and she's naming her baby after me. And the thing about it was, since she, quote, had ADHD and had to, like, leave class during certain times to take her medicine and stuff like that, she just, she had ADD, but she would be like, I just always felt like I was stupid before I met you because no one just wanted to explain things to me, you know, stuff like that. Like, she just thought she's stupid because the doctor, I almost said the dentist, but the doctor told her she has ADHD.
Well, that's a problem with public schools, too, is they're taking one way of learning everything and shoving it at kids and saying, if you don't learn it this way, there's something wrong with you.
And, you know,
and not you're an individual.
I even feel bad for saying I was the smartest kid because, like, I grew up, and even in, like, high school, I was like, I'm not actually, like, smarter than these kids. I'm just good at getting a good grade.
Yeah.
And so many people think that makes you smarter than other people.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid.
I feel like everybody, barring, you know, actual disabilities, has potential.
Right.
You're born with it, and it's what you do with it and how it's nurtured is how you're going to end up.
I agree.
And being in public school and having that one solution fed to you and told there's something wrong with you if you don't get it that way, and not, hey, let's figure out the way you can understand it, the way that it makes sense for you, because you're an individual person with a dynamic brain and personality, and not everyone's going to take in all of this the same way. Like, if you ask 5 people how to solve a math problem in their mind, they'll all tell you a different process to get there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's so stupid. I talk about this on the air every time we talk about public school sucks so bad. Well, it's so stupid that I was never like the one that was really, really good at math. I just was good enough to pass or like get good grades in the class, but not be like, oh, a math whiz. But so many boys mostly were like math whizzes in my classes, and it was so frustrating for them to have to do it the exact way the teacher told you when they had a way that worked better for them, and it still got the answer.
Yep.
It's so stupid.
I got terrible grades in school. Like, probably not as a little kid, but as I got older, I got terrible grades. Even though I understood it all, I knew everything they were already teaching me. All I did was read. I was a big nerd and like sat in the library for fun and read books, like reference books and stuff.
Well,
and
you do know a lot of facts.
And so I got terrible grades because they would tell me things like, don't read ahead. Like, you want me to slow myself down to match everybody else.
That happened to me too.
I can't it's boring. Like, I'm not going to learn anything that way. And so I just wouldn't do the work. I'd just read the book. Like, if they'd assign us a book, I'd read the whole book, and then I would do whatever I want for the rest of the time that everyone else was reading the book.
That's something that I kind of forgot happened. But I always think of this one class I had in 6th grade as like, that was the first time where I stopped wanting to be known as like the smart kid. Like, in 3rd grade, it was like, oh, I'm the smart one, and it's fun, and nobody's mean to you about it. But by 6th grade, I was like, okay, I'm not going to raise my hand and stuff because the teacher would always be like, yes, Bonnie, we know that you already read the book.
Right.
Because it was history and it was so interesting to me. And she was actually kind of bullying me.
Yeah, they treat you like there's something wrong with you because you like to learn.
Yeah.
And that because you know things and that you can do, you have a skill at something, like you're reading too fast.
Yeah, or
how dare you?
She would be like, does anyone else want to raise their hand? Because stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's actually totally mean.
Sorry, I'm excelling.
Yeah. The same thing happened to my friend who did the show one time with us, with me and Nikki. His name's Tim. He was on the show one time, and he actually got taken out of school. He did public school all the way to 6th grade. Then the same kind of thing happened to him where the teacher, I don't remember exactly, but she actually was bullying him for being actually smart or like asking a question.
Mm-hmm.
And she had been a Burger King worker the year before and then became a 6th grade teacher. And his parents took him out, and he did the rest of his years in homeschooling. So.
It's because you're not there to learn how to think.
Yep.
You're there to learn what to think, and it's what they tell you at the speed they tell you, at the productivity they tell you to do it at. Everyone must fit into the cookie cutter box because that's how you make workers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just obey the rules and do it the way we tell you.
And one thing about it is I always felt like the culture of the teachers was like, they were all very similar. The teachers and the people who worked in the school who were adults, they were all very similar, and they were nothing like how my parents would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that like you would get punished and beat into the shape they wanted you to be because they wanted you to be the way that they are. It's so vague, but what I'm trying to say is like, then later I learned that like almost every single teacher is a liberal, believes in government and stuff like that, and it makes a lot of sense that you're going to be, you're not doing well because you're just not like the type of person they are.
Well, I mean, the teachers who don't fit in the clique of teachers are probably not going to make it at that school.
Right.
So it makes sense that they're all the same.
Yep.
I'm sure that, in a highly Republican area, a lot of the teachers are Republican with Republican values, and in Democratic areas, and
Yeah, but I would say like it leans liberal because like they believe in the government being like, oh, I got into teaching because only the government can make it to where children in my community can read. So even in like Texas, where I went to high school for the first 3.5 years, or 3 years, whatever. Even in Texas, it was like I got this liberal pro-government vibe, but also, right wingers are also pro-government. They're just pro-government in a different way.
In a different way, yeah.
So maybe they're not all liberals, but it was just this way of being that I can't really put my finger on right now. That like my parents weren't really that way. Like I don't want to go. I don't ever want. Okay, what I'm trying to say is I think it's messed up that I was getting kind of like, you have to dress this certain way and act this certain way. Things that have nothing to do with learning is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's like a teacher's preference of how they want the next generation to grow up.
Yeah.
And it's like different than even your own parents.
Yeah, they want you. They're in power trips.
Mm-hmm,
they
that's
want
true.
you to obey them. Like I never did homework. That was another reason I got bad grades. Is because that's my time.
Yeah.
If you can't teach me while I'm here, then that's your fault, not mine.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it when I'm not here. And
that's totally true. They have 8 hours a day.
They have 8 hours. Maybe don't jam all the subjects into the same day if you feel like you can't do it well enough in that time.
Yep. Lots of people do that lots of schools do that now where it's like blocks, but I never got any classes like that. It was always like 30 minutes each of a subject.
I still passed my classes.
45, I don't know.
Just with terrible grades.
Yeah.
Like without doing the homework because I could understand what you're teaching me. I don't need to do this at home.
Yep.
So, but yeah, they just want you to do what they tell you. I got in trouble once for not standing up for the pledge.
Oh my goodness.
I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and my teacher sent me to the principal because I refused to stand for the pledge.
Wow.
And I got down there and ended up having like a debate with the principal. And so he sent me back to class and told her that she couldn't make me stand for the pledge in the end.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That would have been like a total like rights violation if they tried to make you.
But she hated me. She
Wow.
hated me from that moment on. Like
So stupid.
Yeah.
It's like a child doesn't have the same patriotic feelings as me. I'm gonna treat them like crap.
a
That's gonna
child
affect them the rest
cannot
of their
be a
life.
patriot. They
Right.
don't have the understanding to grasp what any of that means.
Right. Like I was literally in love with America when I was in high school. I was like a totally different person. But I hadn't been like I hadn't learned the reality of things yet. Like, I hadn't been actually abused by cops and stuff yet, and that's what snowballed to where today I'm on the air saying stuff like, well, there should just not be a public school system at all, and stuff like that. But I remember there were other kids that would sit and not do it, and I would be like absolutely confused. Like, why wouldn't you do this? But like, my dad was in the military, so it just always felt like it was like, we do this because people died to keep us safe.
Yeah,
so
no.
I always find it really interesting when people from a young age already got that it's not what they say it was, because like Chris Wade, who does the show sometimes, he said the same thing. He said when he was like 4 years old, he was like, why are we doing this for the flag? Yeah. It's like,
it's
that's
bizarre.
Impressive.
It
is bizarre when I think about it now.
Everybody's standing up together and chanting at a piece of fabric on the wall. Why? Why are we doing this? Same thing with church. Like, I never understood. Yeah. Why are we all here listening to this guy read? Just read the book yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to read it.
I mean, I never thought things like that as a kid. I was just like, this is normal because I was like in church all the time. But when I think back at it now, it's weird. So I really try not to just like judge people really hard for just being status and stuff, because like a couple incidents in my life could have gone differently and I would probably still be that person.
I wonder if Chris Wade was a latchkey kid with inattentive parents, because I think that's why I was so already disillusioned by everything, is because I kind of raised myself. Like, I was fed and sheltered and stuff, but you know, nobody helped me with homework or schoolwork or stuff like that. So I just had to do it myself. And so I'd read and think and just ended up realizing that everything's lies.
That does make a lot of sense, because it's like anytime I had a question for my mom, I'd be like, well, so wait, if Jesus says this, then why this? She had an apologist type answer. Like, she's like, well, that's because of this. So it would at least hold me over for a while. Like, I never sat there and was like, wait, this doesn't make any sense, because I would ask my mom.
And then you trusted her.
And then I'd get the answer.
Right. You had somebody that you trusted telling you what to think. And so you believed it.
Yep.
So, but nobody was telling me what to think.
Yep.
So I just made up my own thoughts.
Yeah. Chris doesn't seem very close to his parents. So I could totally see that being that's a good hypothesis.
Yeah. Oh, so here's the how to know if you have nomophobia. Here's the list.
Okay.
You can self-report on this. Individuals rate each statement on a scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. I would feel uncomfortable without constant access to information through my smartphone. I would be annoyed if I could not look information up on my smartphone when I wanted to do so.
Okay, but yes, I would be annoyed.
That
doesn't mean I would have a phobia.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Being unable to get the news on my smartphone would make me nervous. I don't even read the news.
I only read the news for this show.
Yeah, I only read what I want to read.
Mm-hmm. Like, you always seem to get news that's like, I didn't even see that anywhere, so...
I'm just a weird internet creepy person, that's all.
I just like, I get a lot of it from Ian, because he reads the news in jail and sends it to me. And then I have like 4 or 5 things that aren't too bad that I read from, like Al Jazeera's not too bad on American things, at least.
Yeah. 4 is, I would be annoyed if I could not use my smartphone and or its capabilities when I wanted to do so. They keep saying annoyed, which doesn't, if I'm annoyed with something, I'm not shaking and sweating and out of breath, like, oh, I'm so annoyed I can't breathe.
Yeah, I get annoyed every single day.
Yeah, me too, all the time. I'm like, the drawer handle just pulled my pocket.
Yep.
I'm annoyed. And now I can't breathe.
My old bosses from the Mighty Moose, Martin Keen, they always laugh because they say I say the word annoyed all the time. Or annoying. Oh, that's so annoying. What can I do?
Things are annoying.
Phobia.
Being a human's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. Running out of battery in my smartphone would scare me. So I have a friend who actually, like, anytime I send him a screenshot of something, he's always like, your phone is scaring me. Please charge your phone. Because it's always on like 2% battery or 1%
I have people
battery.
that say that to me too. It's actually the trolls in the chat.
Yeah. If I were to run out of credits or hit my monthly data limit, I would panic. What is that even? Credits or data limits?
I don't know exactly what a credit would be, but I would think that it's like if you have a prepaid thing and you only paid for a certain amount of texts or a certain amount of data.
Can you still do that? You can still buy a number of texts for the month?
I haven't met anyone that has that, but I do have a prepaid card on my phone. It just immediately goes or automatically goes through. And so I don't have to like go buy a card. But I'm pretty sure you can do it that way.
Unless I'm coming like here or somewhere where I need my phone, I don't take it with me when I go places. Like if I go to the store, I don't take my phone. I don't need it. I'm shopping. I don't need to do anything on my phone while I'm shopping.
I'm so connected to my phone because it's the only way for Ian to call me.
Yeah.
But
well, that's true.
It's just like some people can be in a situation where they're way more close or connected to it. But I've at least gotten myself to where I'm not like on it 24/7 for social media, which is just the absolute worst thing you can do, I feel.
Yeah.
And talking about anxiety. If you have anxiety and you're on Twitter every single day, don't tell me you have something wrong with your brain.
Right. No, it's because you're sitting here looking at curated content all day of people only showing you the best parts of their life. And then you're like, oh, my life must be terrible because I'm not constantly on vacations in Bali and I don't get flowers every day and
or the worst parts
or whatever.
The world.
Or the worst parts of the world. Never the worst parts of their life though.
Yeah.
It's always the best parts of their life and the worst parts of the world. So be afraid of everything and you're not good enough.
Yeah. And that's kind of how Instagram is. Like I just got totally uninterested in it at like age 24. I was just like, I don't care if people I went to high school with think I have nice blah blah blah. Like I don't care. So why am I posting these pictures? Like I think what really stopped me from ever wanting to use Instagram to like just post pictures of myself is having a boyfriend that I really love, because it's like I will admit that like one reason for having an Instagram would be like, not that I thought somebody would find me on Instagram and then I would fall in love with them, but if there was somebody in my life and then they kind of found interest in me, then they would look at my Instagram and I have to have nice pictures of myself on there. And after I have a now husband that I love, I just don't understand. I don't have any reason for it because I don't care what people I went to high school with think about my clothes or whatever.
Yeah, I am so uninterested in the people that I used to know that so I didn't have a Facebook for a while because I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Everybody was just fighting on
it's
Facebook.
terrible.
And
that's the worst one, I swear.
So I started a new Facebook for like rabbit sales and meeting rabbit people and stuff. And I just used a fake name because I literally didn't want anybody that I used to know to look me up and try to sell me leggings or whatever. You know, like, I don't care. We're not friends. Don't.
And a lot of the time, unless it's somebody like I reference my friend from 3rd grade, I keep in contact with her on purpose. But if somebody were to contact me who also was in our 3rd grade class and I don't care about anymore, that happens sometimes. It's like so awkward.
Yeah.
It's like I moved over like 3 years, so like I really don't remember anything about you, and unless you purposely keep like communication with somebody.
Yeah, if we were like close friends or something. That's one thing. But most of the time, it's people that you just went to school with and they're like, oh, I know that person's name. I know nothing about them, but I'm going to friend request them because I don't know.
And that's like
collecting friends.
Stuff. Right. They want a certain number of friends.
Which is weird.
And like that was definitely something that I went through when I was like 11 and first made a MySpace. And would be like, I need to have more friends on my list than like my cousin.
No, I removed Tom. Way back in the day, way back in the day, like when I first got my MySpace, I was like, I don't know that guy.
I can't remember if I removed Tom.
Yeah, I had like, just people that I knew. And
that's such a funny thing. If somebody listening doesn't know what we're talking about, the creator of MySpace had it to where when you would make a MySpace, you were automatically friends with him on his personal account.
He was your first friend.
Yes. And it would be like, I'm your first friend. My name is Tom. Oh my goodness. It's Free Talk Live, and there's more coming up. 603-283-6160 is the number to get in on the conversation with us. That's 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by that treasury. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way by doing it first, nearly a decade ago. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow. The United Nations says thousands of Palestinians are trying to flee as Israel expands its ground offensive in central Gaza. The Palestinian president has described the situation as beyond a war of annihilation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says at least 195 people have been killed over the past 24 hours, and over 21,000 people have died over the past 11 weeks. On October 7th, Hamas launched an attack on Israel that killed around 1,200 people and took about 240 Israelis hostage. Emergency medical team coordinator at the World Health Organization, Sean Casey, says Gaza's functioning hospitals are a bloodbath.
Health capacity is at about 20% of what it was 80 or so days ago. So almost all of the hospital beds, almost all of the hospital services have stopped functioning, either because the facilities themselves have been affected, because the staff have been forced to flee, because they run out of power, or they've run out of medical supplies.
The Israeli Defense Forces say it struck 200 Hamas targets in Gaza in the past 24 hours, as it looks to expand its operation within the besieged enclave. It comes as American forces in the region report an uptick in attacks on the Red Sea from Iranian-backed militias based in Yemen. From Tel Aviv, Trent Murray reports.
The US Navy says warships and F-18 Super Hornets from the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group downed 17 kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles which have been fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen, a group which has been linked to Iran. It comes as diplomats here grow increasingly concerned about the arena of this conflict in Gaza continuing to expand. We've seen more rockets fired from Lebanon overnight, as well as an airstrike on the Syrian capital Damascus, targeting an Iranian commander. Tehran reacting with fury, saying Israel will pay a heavy price.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico in an effort to tackle a surge in illegal immigration as thousands of migrants trek through the country towards the United States. America's top diplomat is meeting President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the capital at a time when border crossings into the US are hitting record numbers, with often 10,000 people reaching the southern border per day. Benji Hire reports.
Antony Blinken and Homeland Security officials are asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here to approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security, but that remains stalled in Congress.
And the New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft on claims of copyright infringement. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today at Iran's strategy in light of the October the 7th Hamas attacks on Israel and Israel's subsequent military onslaught against Gaza. Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen are threatening to target US-led naval ships that are trying to protect commercial traffic in the Red Sea after a series of drone strikes that targeted vessels the Houthis suspect of having ties to Israel. Sir William Patey is a former senior British diplomat. He served as ambassador to several countries in the region and says Iran's malign influence is a big challenge for the West.
They're certainly exercising malign influence, supporting the Houthis in their attacks on shipping, supporting Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Syrian regime, and are strong supporters of Hamas. I mean, it certainly makes sense from the Iranians. They want to expand their influence. They want to increase support for them. Iran threatens friends and allies in the region. Sometimes you have to respond in kind, but they're playing a very dangerous game at the moment. They are, backing the Houthis, backing attacks on shipping, and there is a danger that this could escalate.
The US, meanwhile, says it attacked Iran-backed militias in Iraq after they injured American service personnel in a drone strike on a US airbase in Erbil. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
FSN is an independent source of news for TV, radio and digital networks worldwide. You can find more of our minute-by-minute updates on Twitter. Follow us there @FeatureStory. And we have a wealth of audio and video stories from our global news bureaus on Facebook. You can find us there by following Feature Story News. Stay tuned for further updates right here. But for now, that's the latest Feature Story News. William Denver.
From the admission of Ant Colony 000082567 KLN 00067X into the Union in 1897, to the day in 1817 when embarrassed construction workers realized they put the Erie Canal in the wrong place. The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On August 5th, 1962, Nelson Mandela was jailed until 1990, becoming fully rehabilitated through the South African penal system. And thanks to the services provided to him while imprisoned, emerged from jail a successful politician and internationally revered symbol of peace. Mandela's record of overcoming hardships and moving South Africa beyond its formidable racial struggles is a lasting testament to South Africa's correctional facilities and prove that the penal system's small cells, demeaning work duties, and minimal rations are exactly the tools needed for a prisoner to truly become a reformed citizen.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. It's talk radio that you control. And 603-283-6160 is the phone number for you to call with whatever is on your mind. That's 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Lori.
And in the last couple segments, we were talking about some news articles about, in Europe, in France specifically, they've made it to where fast food companies cannot use reusable things for in-house orders, and that's pretty crazy. I think that is just absolutely on its face. It should not be a law, because it's like the fast food restaurants should choose to do what they want to do.
And the customers choose whether or not to patronize them.
Exactly. If you don't like somebody a restaurant because they're using things that are filling up landfills, in your opinion, just don't go there.
Yeah. Vote with your dollar. It's the biggest vote you have.
Exactly. And so that's ridiculous. That shouldn't be illegal. And actually, the thing about it is I don't believe in laws. You may learn as you listen to this show. But as far as figuring out if something is immoral or not, this one kind of threw me for a loop. It's on, I said that because it's on the Salt Lake Tribune. And that's at sltrib.com. But it's the Salt Lake Tribune. What kind of URL is that? It says, Utah landscaping company executives charged in appalling labor trafficking case. And I saw this title and I thought, oh, here we go. It's probably something that shouldn't be illegal at all. Like, oh, some people agreed to work for less than minimum wage, or people agreed to do things that they agreed to do and that sounded like a good deal to them, but the government's going to say it's an appalling labor trafficking case. But there are a couple of details in here I'm like, well, that's actually immoral.
Yeah.
And when I lived in San Antonio, I had a boyfriend from Mexico who was he didn't have papers, and he worked at the restaurant that we worked at, and before that he had worked at this restaurant in, I'm not even going to say the name because the thing about it is I don't know how I feel about boycotting this specific restaurant, because the lady, she was from Mexico, but she moved to America and met a Mexican American and married him and had citizenship, but she would hire all illegals and have them work a lot in no overtime. And he said that when he worked there, he went home one day and couldn't walk when he woke up because of how much his feet hurt from all the hours he was doing. But at the same time, and that sounds really terrible and immoral in a way, but he was also agreeing to do it.
Yeah.
And he really needed, doing that kind of work ethic is the only reason he was able to go from having almost nothing in his pocket to having a nice apartment and a car living there. So I don't know how I feel about the whole boycotting a restaurant like that, but
yeah, you choose your job.
Right.
I understand that things will be harder if you are picky about your job, but that's kind of the sacrifice you have to make. That's every choice you make in life.
Yeah.
Every choice you make is an easy decision.
The only thing about it was I don't really remember now if he said that she was threatening to get them deported. That's kind of immoral.
Yeah.
And it sounds like
That's
there's some
gross.
of that happening in this case. In Utah, it says it's a Utah landscaping company. It says the owner, his wife, and 5 company executives were charged. Well, it says last week, but this is from November 28th. The Utah Attorney General's office has filed charges against a West Bountiful business owner, and that's a place. West Bountiful is a city or a town, I don't know, and multiple executives who investigators say hired more than 100 Mexican laborers and forced them to work and live in inhumane conditions under threat of deportation. And,
Okay, yeah, that's gross.
Definitely changes things when they're being threatened. State investigators announced the appalling case last week against Rubicon Contractors, LLC, after arresting 3 executives, Clayton Phillips, Tyler Brinkman, and Adam Perea. They were charged Friday along with owner Rudy Larson and his wife, Jenna Marie, and 2 other executives, Brandon Floyd and Kirk Simmons, court orders show. The landscaping and snow removal company hired Mexican laborers using temporary H-2B visas, offering them full-time work for about $20 an hour, charging state documents state. But once hired, the company bombarded workers with additional fees, investigators say, making it hard for workers to pay their bills and buy necessities.
What fees do you have to give your employer?
It's so weird. I think it was things like clothing you had to wear. It's always annoying to me when you get a job and they're like, oh, and you got to pay for the t-shirt. But it's understandable. But when it's I think it was something like that, but they went overboard with it.
If you work somewhere and they require you to wear a specific uniform, I think that they should provide you with at least 1 or 2.
I definitely prefer that. And I've worked at places that did both. It's kind of what? So my first paycheck, at least $20 is going to go to my shirts. That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that point, just make it to where people just have to wear black t-shirts. That's what Sally's did. You just had to wear black or white. And you could wear whatever.
The place I worked in Arizona, they all the waitresses and stuff had to wear corsets and dress up in old-timey clothes,
Western,
and they had to buy them themselves, and that stuff's not cheap.
Yeah, I was thinking
it's $80 for a good corset that's not going to break on you
and that's
while you're
one.
waiting tables.
Yeah,
that's
that really
one,
sucks.
and you want more than one.
Yeah, that is really annoying. But I've always hated that. I mean, if it's a $10 thing, whatever. But
yeah,
and then they demand it back if you quit. I had to drive out of my way to bring back my orange leaf hat after
because they're going to give it to someone else.
I quit after 4 days. Yeah, you're right. That is gross. Oh my God, orange leaf was probably, it sounds ridiculous. That's probably the worst job I ever had. I don't know if you don't have that chain. Is. Oh, it was a frozen yogurt place.
Oh.
I was like, this is going to be easy. I just got back to Texas, need a job. I'm going to work at Orange. That was the worst job I've ever had. Yeah. It was so hard. It sounds ridiculous.
No, me and Stu were talking about that the other day about how people say, oh, unskilled workers. Like, yeah, maybe they can't, do your taxes or rewire your car or whatever, but their job's not like easy. It's not physically easy.
Like with the Orange Leaf thing, I was actually like tired physically just selling.
It's brain easy.
Yes.
But not physically.
I had to like hold this thing that looks like a jackhammer that you jackhammer the ground with, but instead it was a blender, and hold it for 10 minutes in a giant bucket standing like up on something, just to like churn the yogurt. It was ridiculous. It was like a heavy machinery thing. And there's like me and some other girl, this horse girl from nowhere in Texas. And oh my God.
Like hot dog on a stick. They have to do the lemonades. You've seen that, right? Because
I don't know.
That's in Utah. They have this place, Hot Dog on a Stick, where they do hot dog on a stick. And they
so corn dog?
Yeah, I guess.
I've
never eaten one. I've just seen them.
Yeah.
It's like these bright yellow and blue stands like in the mall and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But they do in-house lemonade, and so they have this, it looks like a butter churn, and they have to like make the lemonade with this big thing, and it's physical hard work.
And they're literally like churning, like pushing around.
Yeah, they're like mashing up the lemons and stuff.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to think much about selling. The other thing about it is having to stand out and be a salesperson just for frozen yogurt. If somebody walks in and wants frozen yogurt, they're going to buy it. And if they don't, let them go.
Have you ever heard of frozen yogurt before?
It's like it's for offering them like samples, like, and you give them the little sample cup instead of like them going crazy with the samples.
Do people even buy things based on samples?
I don't know. There's probably a study.
I would never. Like if somebody gave me a free sample, I'd eat it and be like, that was delicious and free. Great.
Yeah,
Bye.
That's such a good point. And free.
Yeah.
But maybe the idea is like they may come back one day after they have tried it and like it. But
it would have to be great.
If I was like nonstop working when I worked at this Orange Leaf, like there wasn't like a moment of just like standing around, and people come in and you have to stop what you're doing to be like, well, would you like to try the marshmallow one? And that's stupid and ridiculous. There should be someone whose job is just to do that. Anyways, I'm done complaining about that job because once it popped in my head, I really had to continue complaining about it. And it's like the best one to explain how an entry-level job can really suck sometimes. Of the jobs I've had. Well, also cleaning houses, like vacuuming. That was terrible. It says the workers were required to live in unfurnished, company-provided housing, and about $300 in rent was deducted from their paychecks every 2 weeks, charging documents state. So
okay, so they
$600 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had to live. They were forced to live in these places. Like they couldn't live somewhere else.
That is weird, and it doesn't really explain that. Like if they were allowed to live somewhere else, if they just didn't want to do that, and also $600 a month isn't bad.
Yeah, for an unfurnished.
Yeah.
Whose apartment is coming furnished?
Yeah, and I was thinking when I read that, I was like, unfurnished, like they just put that there to make it seem
sound
like
worse.
It was worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about these kind of stories. I'm always assuming that it's going to be something that's not bad at all. And then the Salt Lake Tribune's just trying to make it look really bad to help the government out. But in this case, there are some things that are also actually bad. But
yeah, if they're forced to live there, like if that's their only option, like you can't have this job unless you live here, then that's weird.
Well, it's like that. It's like that is really weird, but also shouldn't be illegal.
It shouldn't be illegal.
Because
just don't take the job.
Exactly. You can decide not to take the job.
Yeah.
But if it's like, if you quit, you're going to get deported back to Mexico.
Yeah, but that part sounds like they're saying, oh, they were provided cheap, affordable housing that they actually had to pay for, which everyone does.
Yeah.
Your
that's so
boss
true.
doesn't have to give you a place to live.
$600 isn't like, oh, that's normal in Utah, but expensive where you live. Like Utah's
that's really
expensive
cheap
to live. Yeah, that's
Utah.
cheap.
Yeah.
There's so many people from California moving there. It says, in at least one instance, a house didn't have hot water or heat during the winter.
That's a problem.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
And men were sleeping on piles of clothing. Okay, but that's their problem.
Them. Yeah, they didn't buy a mattress.
Like I was saying, my ex, who was from Mexico and came with almost nothing and just worked every day, his dream was to have like his apartment and couches. So it was like kind of like all from Ross, but he was so proud of that. And that's a thing to be proud of.
Also, why is there no heat or hot water? Was it electric and they were responsible for their own electric bill like a normal apartment and they didn't pay it?
That's a good point. Because the government will put things in there charging statements that sounds so much worse than it is. If they were like, well, I'm not
you
gonna...
rented an apartment to somebody and they didn't turn on their electricity, so they had no heat or hot water, and they didn't buy a bed, so they slept on the floor. How dare you?
Yeah, that sounds so much worse than it actually is. That's what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
In at least one instance, sorry, I already read that. It says they're sleeping in piles of clothing or in a company truck to stay warm, investigators say. The workers also had to buy cell phones from the company to log work hours on a mobile application, and they were forced to pay for their own equipment. Well, a lot of like working jobs like that are like you have to have your own stuff. Like a lot of building and this is landscaping type jobs are like, well, you have your own tools.
Yeah,
so
you have to, and a phone as a tool because we have to be able to get in touch with you or whatever.
And them charging them for a phone isn't that crazy to me.
Yeah, making them buy their own phone.
Definitely shouldn't be illegal, but
I mean, a phone's also like $30. You can buy a $30 phone.
Mm-hmm, that's true. It says, if an executive quoted that a job would take 10 hours, but it actually took 13, workers would not be paid for the extra 3 hours of work, the documents add.
That's a problem.
Yep.
I'd leave at 10 hours.
Yeah, that's so true.
Fire me.
Workers sometimes shoveled snow in tennis shoes, and that might be their choice. Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like, you can't wear boots.
Right.
I doubt, at least.
Yeah, they just didn't buy them. I mean, if they're getting paid $20 an hour, they should be able to buy a bed. They should be able to buy boots and a phone. $20 an hour for $600 a month for rent is not much when you're making $20 an hour.
Yeah. It's like maybe they just had other priorities. Maybe they sincerely didn't care that they were sleeping on piles of clothes because they were sending money back to their family in Mexico.
Yeah, so they could get here too.
Yeah, or whatever they wanted to do. Whatever they were choosing to do is what they're choosing to do.
Right.
But any of these things that are coercion are not the same. So
right.
It says they were often told to sleep in their trucks so they could respond quickly to calls. That's just kind of a weird thing again. It's not like immoral.
And you could just be like, no.
Yeah. Especially like if your truck is right outside your house, that's a little weird.
Right.
And it would take
Save
like
you 5 minutes.
5 minutes. That's crazy. The expectation of work hours for certain times was frightening, as workers would operate on 1 to 3 hours of sleep. And here's the thing. In Texas, I had a boyfriend whose job was splicing. What's it called? Fiber splicing. And he was on call. He agreed to that. And he was on the side of the road on top of a thing that hoists you up to the top of the power supplies or whatever they are, working on it with cars driving past constantly on like 1 to 3 hours of sleep because he agreed to. It's like a thing that people do all the time. It's not something that, this is something that somebody who's never had a lot of experiences reads and goes like, oh, shocking.
Right, because they've been writing articles for their job, sitting in an office somewhere.
Exactly.
Nurses do,
Yep, that's true.
48, 72 hours or something like that.
They do the same
sometimes.
stuff.
Yeah.
They get forced
Doctors,
to stay.
They sleep there sometimes. Sometimes.
Oh my goodness. It says the workers were also not properly trained in U.S. traffic laws or formally taught how to operate the machinery they work for. And the machinery thing is a problem, but do most jobs train you on traffic laws?
No.
And it says, that's what the documents state. One employee told investigators about a man who drove a Rubicon truck on Interstate 15 from Bountiful to Spanish Fork and never left the right-hand lane, taking every exit ramp and on-ramp the entire drive. That's the thing, like, okay, well, you should have told him about that because he's wasting your gas and time.
Right.
Not really like something that it means he was being tortured. Or
yeah,
something.
he's
like
not
he was
being tortured.
Forced to
He just had a really weird day.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, the roads here are crazy or something. Larson would also regularly threaten to have employees deported for relatively minor issues, one worker told investigators. And that's really messed up. If you and someone have agreed to something and then they start saying, oh, I'm gonna do this to you, this thing that you don't want done, like being deported, which could result in like the state being involved with your affairs and whatnot. That is an actual threat. That is so messed up, and that's definitely something that is immoral that they're doing here.
Yeah, that one's a problem. All the other stuff so far, not so much.
Yeah, not so
much.
much.
But threatening them.
Yep, that's definitely a real threat when you threatened to involve the government in somebody's life.
Right.
In one confrontation, Larson told Phillips and Floyd to force an employee who asked to file a workers' compensation claim to clean toilets all day or be fired. And that's what a worker said. All three laughed about it in a meeting and called the worker in question weak, investigators wrote. In another confrontation described in charging documents, Larson got upset, pulled down his own pants, grabbed his genitals, and told employees if anyone has a problem with how I run this company, and allegedly concluded with a crude suggestion. That's like one of the grossest things in this whole article.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
seriously
gross.
If you don't have the option to quit, or he's going to like call, which hasn't been accused of here, I thought it was, but so far it's to have them deported for relatively minor issues, not you can't quit.
Right.
And just leave.
Right, and just leave.
And that's really gross. Like, I would quit a job if that happened. If I was in a meeting and that happened.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then tell everybody.
Yeah. This fucking... Oh, dang it. I have to dump myself. Oh my gosh. Okay. I was just going to say this freaking freak was doing this in this job. Don't go work there. Dang it. That's the second time I've had to dump myself. Oh well. But I've been doing this for like 3 years, so that's not that bad. Yeah. It says, the new documents also outline the structure of Larson's companies, including Scandia, which is the name of one of the companies, Rubicon Park Place Auto Club, and Smart Rain, an irrigation business. The documents allege Larson created separate companies for the sole purpose of shuffling visa workers around for Rubicon, allowing them to extend workers' visas, investigators wrote. Which, like, that is a problem with the freaking fact that you have to request to go live in a certain landmass and work. It's not a problem that this company created.
And so how does that work anyway? If you're on a visa and you get another job, you get an extension? You can't stay at one job. You have to get a separate job?
I have no idea.
That's what that sounds like, right?
I've never known anybody with a worker's visa.
Yeah, me neither.
Specifically. Like, I've known people that came over on a visitor's visa and then overstayed their welcome, and there's nothing you can do, like, except, like, get married and actually get citizenship from there. Can't, like, just extend that, but I don't know about
That's what
workers.
that sounds like, though. Like, a worker's visa, you can only work for one company for a certain amount of time, and then you have to work for somebody else. But that
Probably
doesn't
stupid stuff like
make
that.
any sense.
It doesn't. And it's probably made to make people dependent and less prosperous and poor.
Less stable.
Just like all the welfare things. It's like, oh, you can't make more money than this, or we're going to take away your benefits.
And it's like, and it's barely anything.
It says Rubicon has denied these allegations, though. So there is the other side to the story. It says Larson is facing 7 first-degree felony accounts of aggravated human trafficking, which is a little. It's like.
Do they have proof?
That's
at all?
Crazy.
Or is it just some guy said?
Like the workers said?
Yeah, it keeps saying one worker.
Really?
Though, too. It says one worker said. Is it the same guy saying all this stuff? Did he get fired and now he's mad? Like,
or he just hates him because he was in that meeting with the genital grabbing thing?
Right, or he's the one they called weak? Like,
yeah. So I don't know. Aggravated human trafficking is so not what this is, though. That's like one of the weirdest parts about this. It's like threatening, maybe, but human trafficking because you gave them apartments that somebody doesn't think is good.
Yeah.
Apartments.
If they said they couldn't leave, that would be one thing. But like,
yeah,
I haven't
we
heard
haven't
that.
even heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 second-degree felony count of pattern of unlawful activity. That's what it says. And 1 second-degree felony count of money laundering. I've never heard of count of pattern of unlawful activity.
Yeah.
No, never heard of that. It says
That's weird.
The other executives are each facing 7 counts of aggravated human trafficking, and Brinkman, Perea, and Simmons each were also charged with 1 count of pattern of unlawful activity.
That's weird.
You've never heard of that either?
Pattern of a... No.
I've never heard of it either.
Pattern of...
It's like, well, wait, I'm not being charged with anything else? Oh, wait, no, they are being charged with other things. Okay, because I was going to say, if you're not being charged with anything else, then what's the unlawful activity?
Right. Why is the pattern of qualifier there, though?
I don't know. I've never heard of this before until just now. Like, I kind of like skimmed this. I didn't read the whole thing.
Like, isn't unlawful activity just unlawful activity no matter how many times you do it? Like,
yeah, that's a good point. Like, if you get in trouble for a certain thing several times. Like the judge may be like, well, this is like your third time doing this, but it's not a separate charge.
Yeah, it's separate charges.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. More coming up. You can call in and bring up whatever you want. That's 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
A dead iPod is remembered as expensive. It's the Onion Radio News. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Despite heroic efforts at resuscitation, a third-generation 30-gigabyte iPod, serial number AP356372, was pronounced dead early this morning at the age of 2. The iPod's closest companion, Sarah Zartman, says she'll never forget the great music it used to play, nor will she forget the nearly $500 price tag.
I'll remember those 3,500 songs as long as I live. That iPod was convenient, portable, and really pricey.
Zartman added that had she known the iPod's lithium-ion battery would have such a short lifespan, she might have spent more time listening to it. AP356372 is survived by a BlackBerry. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm William Denslow. The United Nations says thousands of Palestinians are trying to flee as Israel expands its ground offensive in central Gaza. The Palestinian president has described the situation as beyond a war of annihilation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says at least 195 people have been killed over the past 24 hours, and over 21,000 people have died over the past 11 weeks. On October 7th, Hamas launched an attack on Israel that killed around 1,200 people and took about 240 Israelis hostage. Emergency medical team coordinator at the World Health Organization, Sean Casey, says Gaza's functioning hospitals are a bloodbath.
Health capacity is at about 20% of what it was 80 or so days ago. So almost all of the hospital beds, almost all of the hospital services have stopped functioning, either because the facilities themselves have been affected, because the staff have been forced to flee, because they run out of power, or they run out of medical supplies.
The Israeli Defense Forces say it struck 200 Hamas targets in Gaza in the past 24 hours, as it looks to expand its operation within the besieged enclave. It comes as American forces in the region report an uptick in attacks on the Red Sea from Iranian-backed militias based in Yemen. From Tel Aviv, Trent Murray reports.
The US Navy says warships and F-18 Super Hornets from the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group downed 17 kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles which had been fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen, a group which has been linked to Iran. It comes as diplomats here grow increasingly concerned about the arena of this conflict in Gaza continuing to expand. We've seen more rockets fired from Lebanon overnight, as well as an airstrike on the Syrian capital Damascus, targeting an Iranian commander. Tehran reacting with fury, saying Israel will pay a heavy price.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico in an effort to tackle a surge in illegal immigration as thousands of migrants trek through the country towards the United States. America's top diplomat is meeting President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the capital at a time when border crossings into the US are hitting record numbers, with often 10,000 people reaching the southern border per day. Benji Hire reports.
Antony Blinken and Homeland Security officials are asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here to approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security, but that remains stalled in Congress.
And the New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft on claims of copyright infringement. From bureaus worldwide,
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. It's talk radio you control. And 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Lori.
And I wanted to tell you about the AMPS program. And I'd like to thank Brody, who's a silver level amplifier. That means that Brody is giving at least $5 a month to the AMPS program. And that means that he's helping us advertise, market, promote, and he's supporting the show monetarily. And you can learn more by going to amps.freetalklive.com. That's amps.freetalklive.com. And thank you so much to Brody for being a supporter. We really appreciate it here at Free Talk Live. amps.freetalklive.com. I'm going to finish up this story here we were discussing that says there was... I'm just going to kind of summarize what we talked about so far. Basically, there's a Utah landscaping company, and some of the executives were charged in an appalling labor trafficking case. As Lori points out, all of these allegations against these people, it says... They'll say one worker said. Well, for all we know, it's the same worker. We don't know that it's only one worker, but it doesn't name the people that are talking, so it could be just one worker.
It doesn't even say another.
Yeah.
It says one worker every time.
And then it's just the fact that there's not actually any proof so far, like the trial hasn't happened. And a lot of the things that are described are not even bad. Like, oh, they made them pay $600 a month for
an apartment.
Housing, an apartment or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not even like a little room, like a shack. It says an apartment.
Yeah.
An unfurnished apartment.
Oh, no, so then it's really bad. Yeah. Unfurnished.
Right.
They're forcing them to not have furniture. No, they're not controlling what they spend their money on.
Yeah, they're not providing them furniture.
And I'm not necessarily defending these people. It's just so interesting and crazy how media works. It's like before it happened to me via Ian, I may have been more likely to read this and immediately be judging people as if they did something bad. Like today, I even caught myself doing it. It just seems like if somebody gets accused of something, the majority of people who hear about it, oh, it's on the news. They did something wrong. Well, they got arrested. They obviously did something wrong. And I kind of did that today, which I caught myself like an hour later and I was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't do that. Well, my friend in Tennessee, she sent me a picture and just said, Bonnie, OMG. And it was a picture of this girl we grew up on the same street of in her mugshots. And it said like this person being arrested for stalking. And that was pretty shocking to me because she just always seemed like a really good, put together type of person. And I was like, wow, I can't believe she doesn't seem like the type of person to do something like blah, 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 blah. And then I caught myself later and I was thinking,
maybe she didn't.
Maybe she didn't even do that.
Yeah.
Like, she might have completely not done it at all. Or if you looked into the details, you might be like, okay, I kind of understand what's going on here.
Yeah, sometimes people are terrible. I broke up with a guy once and he called the cops on me.
Wow.
And told them that I was being abusive.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's so terrible.
Like it works both ways. Women do that to men do that to women. Like
maybe
that's what happened. Maybe she was breaking up with somebody and they were like, I'm calling the cops on you. When you use the threat of the government gun because you hurt my feelings.
Yep, exactly. Like, you know, if I don't know the story, I try to not immediately think somebody, quote, broke the law or did anything wrong. But that's all I'm trying to say about this, basically. It's just, it's a little weird. Lori looked up the charge of one count of pattern of unlawful activity. That's how they write it every time. Sounds like it's missing a word or something.
Yeah.
But what exactly did you find out about that?
It says this is specific to Utah. It says pattern of unlawful activity means engaging in conduct which constitutes the commission of at least 3 episodes of unlawful activity, which episodes are not isolated but have the same or similar purposes, results, participants, victims, or methods of commission, or otherwise are interrelated by distinguishing characteristics. Taken together, the episodes shall demonstrate continuing unlawful conduct and be related either to each other or the enterprise. At least one of the episodes comprising a pattern of unlawful activity shall have occurred after July 31st, 1981, the most recent act constituting part of a pattern of unlawful activity as defined by this part shall have occurred within 5 years of the commission of the next preceding act alleged in part of the pattern. So they just have to like accuse you of doing the same thing more than 2 times. So 3
and
times.
What's
at
crazy
least.
is it's just like if you get accused of this, it could be your first time getting in trouble. To me, it sounded like pattern of unlawful activity meant, and I'm not saying this is really like a better thing, but it sounds like it means, oh, you've gotten convicted of
like a repeat
this.
offender.
Right, multiple times.
Yeah.
But instead it's like, oh,
we're just saying that you did it a bunch of times.
Right, and that's a whole other charge. That's crazy.
Yeah, you should only be able to be charged,
with it.
One, yeah.
Yeah, it's like getting charged
With the one
twice,
charge.
basically. That is
Right.
so crazy. I don't really think of Utah as like the worst in terms of like super crazy for cops, but it is. It's just that like I've lived in places that were even worse, being super crazy for cops, and that it's just crazy that law would get passed and people are fine with that. That's absolutely terrible. It's basically like they're getting charged with these human trafficking charges, and then since they are finding instances where they can charge you with more than one, well, now you're also getting this other second-degree felony that is a count of pattern of unlawful activity. That sounds like getting charged twice.
Mm-hmm.
That should probably be like, I bet that could be like taken to court.
It's
and
just another
challenged.
charge because they're going to charge you with as many felonies. Like, say you human trafficked 3 people, so now you have 3 charges. But they're also going to say now on top of that, you're also getting charged with a pattern of unlawful activity.
So yeah, exactly.
Which
It's just
shouldn't
4
even be
charges
a
instead of 3.
charge.
So it's a 4th thing when you are only even being accused of 3 things.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring that back up, kind of summarize and end that story. But did you want to talk about your story that you have about some type of tech that would end the need for human pregnancy?
Okay.
While you're looking for that, I'm just going to bring this up that I've had for a while. It says, uniquely horrible choice. Few U.S. adults want a Biden-Trump rematch in 2024, an AP NORC poll shows. And I totally understand that. There's not much to say about it, but I totally understand that very few people actually want Biden and Trump to be the people going head-to-head, running for Republican and Democrat, like our only 2 choices, essentially. Who wants that again? Or wanted it back then? It seemed weird back then.
I don't think anybody wants any of the people that are put up.
Right, that's true. Well, not a lot. There are definitely people that
there are
want
people, yeah, but
Trump.
like when I say anybody, I mean like the majority of people don't want
Right.
that. And they don't want the 2-party system.
And it seems like even in the Democrats, very few people actually liked Biden at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shocked
But he's
me.
the one that's their team. So
Yeah.
you got to vote for him because that's our team.
My
that's our
grandma
home team.
in California, she told me, like, I know that he's not, I don't really like him either, but we have to vote for him to keep Trump out of office. Like, oh my gosh. I guess she thought I was a Democrat, but it's fine.
Yeah. I don't understand the voting for your team thing.
Yeah. She would love for it to be Hillary Clinton. Like, she loves Hillary Clinton. She doesn't really like Biden, but it's just because, no, it can't be Trump again. Trump is so bad to her. And that's basically all there is to really say about this. They talked to some people who explain why they don't want those people, but did you bring up your pregnancy story?
Yeah. So this is from thewalrus.ca. Will new tech end the need for human pregnancy? We are 5 to 10 years from a partial artificial womb for humans, according to estimates.
That's kind of cool. That's
That's terrifying.
I didn't ask you to bring this one up specifically because I'm like against it. I kind of think it's cool.
So the thing is I feel like it would open the door to being born because the algorithm says that you're needed. Can you imagine your life if you had no parents?
Huh.
You were just born because the government decided they needed workers.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not something I thought of.
Yeah. So that would be awful. What a life.
Usually people, okay, that's like a great point that you're bringing up, like a great reason for it to be not such a great thing. But usually people are saying stuff like, oh, we don't need people having kids like their toys. Like, or, oh, we need people who are born in a test tube. And I don't think
I don't care about that.
Strong. I kind of do understand it in a way. Like, oh, well, you need to be in your mother to be just like everyone else. And, like touching
Why do you
skin.
have to be like everybody else?
That's a good point. But I don't think those are as strong, but that is a good point. Like if people start to say, oh, who has a legal claim to this child? Can't like
the government.
Coca-Cola
Yeah.
like have kids and then have them be born and then they're just workers? Whoa.
Yeah, Coca-Cola just buys a bunch of artificial wombs and then breeds their workers who are raised for nothing but working for Coke.
And they have been doing this my entire life and before my entire life. of just making people think that humans are not that great. Like, I've always noticed this as a kid. I noticed that every single movie I watched was, oh, whatever it is, toys and Toy Story, they're good, but humans are bad. And like animals, usually it's usually like talking animals, and they're good, and humans are bad. And I could totally see people being at the point now where they're like, I don't care about people. Yeah, you can do that. It's fine. Like the Truman Show, how no one cared what happened to him.
I think it's because the people who have the power are bad.
Yeah.
So that's what you're seeing is the power coming down. But like most individuals are cool. They're great, interesting people, you know?
Are you saying that you think that's why people end up making those movies?
Yeah, that's what that narrative is because like the powerful people that you see on TV or, in politics or whatever, those are the bad people. And so
I think that's often like what they want you to think the movie's about. It's like,
no, I'm saying that's why people think that people are bad.
Oh, they see
because
it.
When you see that, you don't see like Frank down the street helping a baby duck that's stuck in a drain,
doesn't
in
make
a storm
the news.
drain, but doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. But you don't see that. You see all the terrible people that are waging wars and taking advantage of humans and doing horrible things.
Like, one thing I should mention, I don't really want to get into the whole story I got about it, but I should mention it while we're still on this last segment of the show. Apparently Israel did target and bomb a refugee camp in Gaza. So it's like, no, it's not just, listen, they're aiming for, what is it called? This terrorist group, Hamas. They're aiming for Hamas, Bonnie. It's like, if somebody dies, it's not their fault. No, you can't even say that anymore. They're aiming for and killing people who, their houses already got destroyed. We're just going to be here to not die in this designated area, and Israel's bombing those places now.
Yeah, that's kind of what they do in wars.
Yep.
And they wage as much destruction as they can and then blame it on the other side.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just a casualty of war. We have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do this.
It's, quote, defense 5 months after somebody from the other side blew up something on the other side.
Yeah, 5 months later.
All the time.
I was so scared. 5 months later, I had to send a bomb.
Kill these like unarmed people in a tent. But before we get into the rest of the story about pregnancy, I do want to let David in New Mexico tell us what he has on his mind. David, what's on your mind?
All kinds of stuff. But those are your people, Bonnie. You got to support your people.
Jews?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Did you mean Jews or the Democrat thing we're talking about?
No, the Israel.
I'm not. I don't really think I'm Jewish. I think that my Ukrainian ancestors converted, and I'm not ethnically like the people of Abraham's children. I don't really think I am anymore.
All people should be your people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. But actually, we got to interject that the people calling themselves Jews are not necessarily descendants of Abraham.
So where did you told me, but I never looked into it. You told me that the word Jew just came out of nowhere. Do you have more information about that?
Well, I'll give you the information that I have, and I'm not a professional researcher. I just listen to what I consider to be credible sources, and if I consider them to be credible, then I might restate what I've heard from them. And what I heard from what I consider to be credible sources is that the first appearance of the word Jew was in the late 1700s in a Bible, and previous to 1780, whatever it was. That word was not used.
Oh, 1780. I thought you had said something like sometime in the 1900s.
Well, maybe, but as far as the word Jew, the definitive thing that I have is the allegation that the word Jew does not appear in any printed text anywhere until the late 1700s.
Well, I always just assumed that it came from the word Judea or Judah. So don't you think it's probably that?
Well, that's what I think, well, put it this way. I'm a con man. So if I'm a con man and I want you to think one thing, I might try to simulate that thing like a web page. I might put an M where there were two N's, and you might click on my link, and I kind of conned you. And so if you are doing a con, if you say the word, if you invent the word Jew, because it kind of sounds like Judahite or Judah, then, maybe that might be part of your con.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that it's some people that aren't actually the children of Abraham's descendants, and then they want you to think that, so they just name themselves something new that kind of sounds like Judea. I see what you're saying. I mean, I'm not using this information for any kind of let's hate Jews or something, or it means they're bad.
No, we're scholars. We're scholars is what we are. We're just trying to understand, to educate ourselves, to learn. That's what we are.
I just thought it was interesting because I thought you meant way more recently than that. But anyways, what did you actually have to call about? You said that the Jews are my people. Well, I said probably not.
Well, I only said that because I call you and then I got to sit there and listen to you while I'm on hold, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about while I'm on hold. So I just commented on it. But I got a couple things I'm interested in. But first of all, I gotta bust Bonnie's balls. So you're so schizophrenic tonight, Bonnie. What's going on?
Why?
Yeah. Well, because first you come on and you say, talk radio you control. You know what I mean? I'm down with that. I troll you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next break you come in and you say, talk radio that you can control. So which is it, Bonnie? Do you want to be trolled or controlled? Which one?
Neither, but I didn't say that you can control me. I said you can control the airwaves. But I didn't even notice that I did that, add an extra word in there. I just kind of
it's a Freudian thing. It's a Freudian thing. You're doing that because you're trying to avoid David from New Mexico calling in and trolling you because he has permission, as per Bonnie, to troll.
Yes, that's
what it was. Yeah, and one thing I'm interested in is Lori, when you were boondocking in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, an hour from the nearest store, where approximately were you?
We were out past Marana. I don't remember exactly the name of the desert that we were in, but it was past the Saguaro National Forest, and you just keep going down this big, long dirt road.
Right, and I know the name Marana, and I'm trying to picture the map. So, if you're in Phoenix, which of the interstates do you head out of Phoenix on to go to Marana again? Do you go to the east?
I don't know.
Or do you go to the north?
I don't drive. My husband drives. Oh. I just sit in the passenger seat and look at the pretty things.
Nice.
Yeah, when you're in the passenger seat, your husband is driving.
Yeah.
Which way is he driving?
In the driver's seat.
No one knows that who's driving.
I don't know.
Not where is he driving from?
Yeah.
Or from where is he driving? Which direction is he driving?
Listen, I never know in New Hampshire because Ian doesn't have the freaking north, south, east, and west in our car, which I love that because it kind of keeps me knowing where we are. But when someone else is driving, you're not paying attention to that.
Wait. We're for the listening audience.
I just look out the window. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got to bust Bonnie's balls some more. The north, south, east, west instrument. Are you referring to a compass?
Well, yes, but sorry. What I meant is it's just in my car. It just is an N, an S, a W, and a E, and it just pops up it's digital and it's on my mirror, I think. And I always really enjoyed that because if I got lost in some little neighborhood in San Antonio, I could figure okay, well, I'm east of blah, blah, blah highway, so I just got to keep going west, and yay, I found it. And instead of having to pull something up, I can't do that in Ian's car.
So you got that high-tech thingy on the mirror. You don't have the grandpa and grandma
a circular
analog.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the grandpa and grandma analog little snow globe compass on the dash with a suction cup?
No. That sounds crazy.
You have that, okay.
I don't even think I've seen that, honestly.
You're too young. Yeah, you're too young. There was something else you were talking about too that I had a comment on, but I forget what it was.
Talking about.
So you should remind me. You should remind me what it is.
If you want to know where it is, if you look at a map of Saguaro State Forest, there's only one road. So if you just follow that road all the way out to the desert, down to a dead end road, that's it.
Out to the desert? Well, when you're in Arizona, most of the time you're in a desert. You don't need to go out to the desert.
Out to the desert, away from the city of Marana, past the Saguaro State Forest.
So Saguaro is at those cactuses,
where there's nothing else around.
It's named after is that the cactuses with the arms?
Yeah, the ones with the arms.
Nice. That's cool.
That sounds so Mexican though when you go to the desert. You know what I'm talking about?
No, just.
No,
it's funny.
I was just thinking they're from
Bonnie
the
probably
desert.
does if she dated a Mexican. You know what I'm talking about?
Like, I think lots of people will repeat words. Like, high school white girls will also say he likes me.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you're saying. I honestly haven't noticed that.
But the Mexican thing, well, it's actually especially New Mexican. And so like a dude calls up his bro and he says, "Hey, bro, I need to. Can you come over and help me? I need to put this engine in this car here." And the bro says, "Yeah, I'll be over. When do you want to do it?" And he says, "Well, now." And so a couple hours later, he calls his buddy back again because he hadn't showed up. And he says, "Hey man, I thought you were coming over." And the guy said, "Well, you meant now is what you meant, not now."
I say that.
I feel like, I mean, that could totally be a thing that Mexicans do, especially in New Mexico, because like culture is a real thing. But I've just never noticed it, and also I don't know that many people. I mean, like I know plenty of people from New Mexico actually, but I've never. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time there. I would spend the night in between driving from Utah and San Antonio in Albuquerque because it's like the direct in between spot, and I didn't really like Albuquerque, and I stay away from New Mexican drivers when I see them. I just get away from that car.
I've heard they're really bad.
They're really bad. Like if you've heard it, it's like,
but I've never been there. Yeah,
and you don't drive.
Yeah,
like it is a serious thing. It is real. Like in New Mexico, they don't have good drivers there mostly. And Sarah, who used to call in all the time, but she hasn't called in weeks. She will tell you that. She'll tell you that all the stuff I say about New Mexico is true, and she lives in Albuquerque. But yeah, I've never noticed that, David. But I think lots of people do that. Do we have more about this story about the artificial wombs?
Yeah. Let me open it.
I think that if I ever wanted a kid, I would just adopt one, which is one reason that I think artificial wombs are kind of bad, because it's like, oh, you don't need to, these kids who need to be adopted, well, you don't need to do that anymore. You can have your own kid and not be pregnant.
But you can't adopt kids for a corporation and raise them to work. So that's got to be the only impetus for having an artificial womb, is to grow workers.
I still feel like they would have to convince us that people who don't have parents and were raised from this artificial womb, well, it's not bad to, for them to not have the same rights as us. And I don't know if we're there yet.
I don't know that they would have to convince us of anything.
Or they would do it in secret.
They do things anyway. They do tons of things that people don't want.
Yeah.
Like go to war and blow up little brown kids.
That's a good point.
So,
especially if they don't do it like in the United States. Well, we're not looking at it, so it doesn't matter.
By then, 10 years from now, who knows? Who knows what this country would look like?
That's terrible.
Yeah, maybe.
Coca-Cola would be like unstoppable. I don't know why I chose them.
Yeah.
More like the
Walmarts,
builders,
Amazons.
Oh yeah, well they're already pretty unstoppable.
Oh, Raytheon.
Yeah, the people who build bombs is like the worst
that
I could think of. They would be unstoppable.
So it says, in the 1970s, 25-year-old social feminist Shulamith Firestone penned her manifesto, "Pregnancy," she wrote, "is barbaric."
Wow.
Firestone remarked that, as a direct consequence of the dominance of men in scientific research, we could travel to the moon, but we still hadn't found a better way to gestate humans.
I think that's a little, what's the word? We'll put this up on our socials so you can finish reading this. Sorry that we didn't finish this story, but I think that's a little intense. That's way too far. Lots of people do it and enjoy doing it even. It's Free Talk Live. You can go to freetalklive.com for more, and we'll be back live tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Peace.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome.